Beloved, Spirit never leaves you guessing. Before your blessing arrives, heaven always sends signs. They come like whispers in the wind, like patterns you cannot ignore, like divine reminders that what you have asked for is already on its way. Have you noticed numbers repeating before your eyes? Have you dreamed the same vision more than once? Have you overheard a phrase from a stranger's lips that spoke directly to your heart? These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. When manifestation is close, the universe begins to arrange signals around you. They are gentle nudges to lift your faith higher, to prepare your heart, to align your expectation. Spirit knows how easily doubt creeps in, how quickly fear tries to choke hope, so signs are sent as evidence. So you may walk by faith and not by sight. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that nothing ever happens without a sign. Every repetition, every symbol, every divine echo is heaven saying, "Do not quit now. The harvest is near." Beloved, if you keep seeing it, do not dismiss it. If the same number flashes before your eyes, if the same message returns again and again, if the same door keeps showing itself, know this: your manifestation is not far. It is standing at the threshold, waiting for your faith to open the door. Beloved, Spirit is always speaking. The challenge is not whether God speaks, but whether we notice. Manifestation is not a mystery to heaven. It is only a mystery to the human mind that doubts, forgets, and overlooks the signals placed in its path. But when your desire is close, when your faith is rising, when your vibration is aligned with the law of supply, Spirit begins to send signs as clear as day. These are heaven's way of preparing you, whispering, "Stay ready, for your good is near." A Florence Scovel Shinn declared, "Nothing happens without a sign. Before the harvest comes the bud, before the dawn comes the glow, before the blessing comes the signal." Spirit speaks in repetition, because repetition captures attention. That is why you notice numbers repeating. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 7, 7, 7. Each pattern carries a vibration, a reminder that the universe is not random but rhythmic. 1, 1, 1 whispers alignment. 2, 2, 2 announces balance. 7, 7, 7 signals completion. These numbers are not there to entertain you. They are signposts declaring that manifestation is already unfolding. But Spirit does not speak only through numbers. Spirit speaks through patterns, through echoes, through the alignment of events too precise to dismiss. You may hear a word in your spirit during prayer, and later a friend repeats it without knowing why. You may dream a symbol in the night, and later see it appear in the world before you. You may wrestle with a question in your heart, and then overhear the exact answer spoken by a stranger on the street. Beloved, these are not accidents. These are confirmations, heaven's language clothed in circumstance. Have you ever noticed how the same thought will not leave you, returning again and again, until you cannot ignore it? That persistence is not coincidence. It is Spirit insisting that you pay attention. The universe is aligning your awareness so that when the door opens, you will recognize it. Spirit prepares your inner sight before your outer eyes behold the manifestation. Beloved, I tell you this: the closer your blessing comes, the louder the signs will grow. At first, it may be a whisper, a gentle nudge, a fleeting repetition. But as your manifestation draws near, the signals multiply, becoming undeniable. Spirit wants you to be certain. Spirit wants you to be anchored. Spirit wants you to be able to say, "I saw it coming, for heaven announced it beforehand." But why does Spirit send signs? Because doubt is quick to rise when the waiting grows long. The enemy of manifestation is discouragement. Signs are heaven's way of keeping you steady in faith. They are breadcrumbs along the path, guiding you toward the feast already prepared. When you see them, you are to rejoice, not question. You are to say, "This is evidence. My manifestation is already in motion." Beloved, Spirit is not silent. Spirit is speaking through numbers, through people, through patterns, through whispers of intuition that cannot be explained by reason. When you are spiritually alert, you will see them. And once you do, you will never again call them coincidence. You will say, "This is my sign. My manifestation is near." So the next time the number flashes before your eyes, the dream repeats, the phrase echoes back into your life, pause and declare aloud, "I recognize the sign. Spirit is speaking. My good is on its way, for the universe always delivers, but it delights to give you a preview before the arrival. Beloved, signs do more than comfort you. They awaken the law of expectancy. Expectancy is the bridge between your desire and its manifestation. It is not idle wishing. It is not anxious waiting. It is the steady assurance that what you have asked for is already on its way. When signs begin to appear, they are not random sparks. They are Spirit's way of fueling your expectancy, reminding you to hold your faith high, to prepare your heart, and to get ready to receive. Florence Scovel Shinn often declared, "Faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly." This is the law of expectancy. To expect is to live as though the blessing is certain, as though the prayer is already answered, as though the supply is already delivered. Signs confirm that your words have not fallen on deaf ears. They are heaven's receipts, proof that your request is being processed in the unseen. Think of it like a letter sent through the mail. When you post it, you may not see it traveling, but you trust it is moving toward its destination. Then one day, a tracking notice appears. It is in transit. It is near. It is almost at your door. Beloved, signs are heaven's tracking notices. They tell you your manifestation has been released, and now you must remain in expectancy until it arrives in full. But here is the key: expectancy is not passive. It does not sit with folded arms and complain about the wait. Expectancy is active faith. It prepares the table before the guest arrives. It clears the space before the gift is delivered. It acts as if the promise is already here. When you expect, you do not ask, "Will it come?" You declare, "It is coming. It is close. It is mine." Beloved, this is why signs are so powerful. They stir expectancy. They remind you that the unseen world is already working. They shift your vibration from fear to faith, from doubt to confidence, from despair to joy. And your vibration is the magnet of manifestation. If you expect disappointment, you draw delay. If you expect failure, you invite frustration. But if you expect blessing, you call blessing forth. If you expect supply, you summon supply. The law is unbreakable. You attract what you expect. Have you noticed how expectancy changes your posture? A child waiting for a gift does not sulk. They look out the window. They run to the door. They listen for footsteps. Every sound excites them. Every signal lifts their hope, because they are certain the gift is on its way. That is how Spirit asks you to live when signs begin to appear. Not heavy with doubt, but light with expectancy. Not questioning, "Will it ever happen?" but declaring, "It is happening now." Beloved, the law of expectancy is faith clothed in anticipation. It is heaven's rhythm aligning with your readiness. When signs show up, Spirit is saying, "Rise higher. Stay steady. Do not give up before the breakthrough." The waiting season is not punishment. It is preparation. Expectancy keeps your spirit awake so that when the door opens, you are ready to walk through. So the next time you see the repetition, the symbol, the pattern, do not brush it aside. Smile, rejoice, and declare, "This is my sign. I expect my manifestation. I live as though it is already done." For the law is simple: what you expect, you attract. And when signs fill your path, heaven is saying, "The time is close." Expectancy will open the way. Beloved, when signs begin to appear, they are not vague hints or empty illusions. Each one carries meaning. Each one is Spirit's language, coded with truth for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see. If you keep seeing them, it is not to confuse you, but to confirm that your manifestation is near. One of the clearest signs is repeating numbers. Perhaps you see 111 flashing on a clock, on a receipt, on a license plate. This is not mere chance. 111 declares alignment. It is heaven saying, your thoughts, your words, your desires, and Spirit's plan are in perfect agreement. Or maybe you see 222 again and again. That is the number of balance and partnership. It is the signal that what you seek is being joined to you, that cooperation and union are near. And when 777 appears, it speaks of completion. It is the whisper of Spirit saying, the work is done. The manifestation is finished. Prepare to receive. Numbers are not random. They are vibrations. They are heaven's mathematics, announcing spiritual truths in earthly form. Another sign is the echo of words. Perhaps you are praying for clarity, and suddenly the same phrase appears in multiple places. You hear it in a song, read it in a book, and overhear it in a stranger's conversation. This is no accident. Spirit repeats until you recognize. These echoes are not to entertain you. They are instructions, confirmations, and reminders that your path is unfolding in divine order. Dreams are another language of spirit. When manifestation is close, the soul rehearses it in vision before it arrives in the natural. You may dream of doors opening, of walking into new places, of receiving gifts. These are not random pictures. They are previews. Spirit allows you to see ahead of time so your faith may be strengthened. Sometimes the sign is a sudden shift. A door closes unexpectedly. A delay interrupts your plan. A redirection moves you into a new path. At first it feels like setback, but beloved, it is alignment. Spirit removes what is not meant so you can stand exactly where blessing will meet you. That delay is not denial. It is preparation. That closed door is protection. That detour is placement. Each disruption is evidence that heaven is arranging the pieces for your manifestation to arrive perfectly. Pay attention also to the quickening of your spirit. You may feel sudden bursts of excitement without knowing why. Moments of peace that arrive out of nowhere. A sense of readiness that floods your heart. This is Spirit's way of preparing your inner self to match the outer blessing. Your soul knows what your eyes cannot yet see, that the blessing is near. Beloved, these signs are never meant to cause fear. They are meant to stir expectancy. Numbers, dreams, echoes, delays, inner nudges. Each one is a love letter from Spirit, assuring you that the unseen is already working in your favor. They are proof that heaven's hand is upon you, arranging, guiding, confirming. So when you see them, rejoice. Do not brush them aside as coincidence. Declare aloud, I recognize this sign. I know my manifestation is close. I give thanks now before it arrives, for the evidence Spirit has already shown me. Gratitude is the response that seals the sign into manifestation. To ignore the sign is to dismiss the confirmation. To honor it is to accelerate the blessing. Beloved, Spirit is always communicating, but when your manifestation is near, the signs multiply. They grow clearer, louder, more undeniable. Because heaven does not want you to miss what is coming. So watch with spiritual eyes, listen with a discerning heart, and every time you see the sign, let your faith rise higher, for it means only one thing: your manifestation is close. Beloved, a sign is not the blessing itself. It is the announcement of the blessing, and how you respond to it determines whether the manifestation flows easily or whether you allow doubt to block its arrival. Spirit sends signs not only to confirm, but to test your posture. Will you answer with faith, or will you let fear and overthinking steal your peace? Many see a sign and immediately slip into anxiety. They ask, but what does it mean? Am I missing something? What if it's not for me? Beloved, Spirit does not send signs to torment you. Spirit sends them to strengthen you. The moment you see a sign, your first response must be faith. Say aloud, this is my confirmation. My blessing is close. My manifestation is already on the way. These words anchor the sign into your spirit and align your vibration with heaven's decree. Florence Scovel Shinn often taught that every word is a decree. To respond to a sign with worry is to decree delay. To respond with doubt is to decree confusion. But to respond with gratitude and faith is to decree swift arrival. This is why your words matter most in the moment of confirmation. The sign is heaven's part, the response is yours. Beloved, when you see repeating numbers, do not brush them aside. Pause and give thanks. Whisper, thank you, Spirit, for the reminder that I am aligned. When you hear the echo of a phrase that speaks directly to your need, do not dismiss it. Declare, this word is mine. It confirms my manifestation. When a door closes or a delay shifts your path, do not curse it. Say, this is protection. This is alignment. This too is a sign that my blessing is near. The correct response to a sign is gratitude. Gratitude is the magnet that pulls unseen blessings into form. When you give thanks before the blessing arrives, you prove your faith. You show heaven that you already believe, and belief is the bridge that delivers. Signs are not to make you beg harder. They are to remind you to praise sooner. Another way to respond is through expectancy. Live as though the sign is proof of what is already yours. If you see the number 111, walk through your day declaring, I am aligned. I expect my blessing. If you dream of open doors, rise in the morning and say, today opportunities open before me. If you overhear a phrase of confirmation, take it as your daily decree and repeat it until it fills your atmosphere. Expectancy is active agreement with spirit. And above all, beloved, rest. A sign is not an instruction to strive harder. It is not a demand to force the outcome. It is a reminder to trust. The blessing is already moving toward you. The sign is the evidence. So instead of grasping, you rest. Instead of fretting, you trust. Instead of doubting, you affirm. Under grace and in perfect ways, my good arrives. Beloved, let this be your rhythm when the sign appears. Pause, give thanks, affirm, expect, and rest. This is how you honor the language of spirit. This is how you keep the channel clear. This is how you ensure that when manifestation knocks, you are ready to open the door. So the next time you see what cannot be ignored, the numbers, the echoes, the dreams, the shifts, do not hesitate. Say aloud, this is my sign. My manifestation is near. I give thanks now, for what I asked for is already mine. And in that moment, heaven smiles, for you have responded with faith, and faith always brings the unseen into the seen. Beloved, signs are powerful, but it is your daily decree that seals them into manifestation. Spirit may send confirmations, but your words and your faith invite the blessing into form. Florence Scovel Shinn declared, your word is your wand. A wand left unused cannot create. It must be lifted daily, spoken daily, wielded daily to shape the unseen into the seen. This is why you must establish a practice. Each morning, before the noise of the world enters, begin your day with decree. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and speak aloud with authority. I am aligned with spirit. I recognize the signs. My manifestation is close, and I receive it now under grace and in perfect ways. Do not whisper as though unsure. Declare it as law, for heaven responds to conviction, not hesitation. As you move through your day, signs will appear. Numbers repeating, echoes returning, opportunities shifting. Each time you see them, respond with a mini decree. Whisper, this is my sign. I expect my blessing. My manifestation is already unfolding. These short affirmations are like sparks that keep the fire alive. They stop fear from creeping in and remind your subconscious that the law is already working on your behalf. At night, before sleep, seal your spirit again with decree. Place your hand upon your heart and affirm, I rest in expectancy. Spirit is moving. While I sleep, my manifestation is arranging itself. I awaken to answered prayer, to divine supply, to abundance flowing. Beloved, do you see the rhythm? Morning, day, and night. Your words keep your channel open, your faith steady, your vibration high, and let gratitude flow with every decree. Gratitude is the proof of faith. To thank Spirit before the blessing appears is to declare, I already know it is mine. Gratitude turns decrees from empty words into living power. So after each declaration, pause and say, thank you. Thank you that it is done. Thank you that it is near. Thank you that it belongs to me by divine right. Beloved, here is a daily decree you may use, word for word, until it flows from your spirit without effort. I am aligned with divine law. I see the signs, and I know they are for me. My manifestation is close. Every day I grow nearer to my answered prayer. I walk in faith, I live in expectancy, I rest in gratitude. What I have spoken is already mine. It arrives in perfect timing, under grace, in perfect ways. And so it is. Repeat this decree 3 times in the morning, once whenever a sign appears during the day, and 3 times at night before sleep. Let it become the song of your soul, the rhythm of your breath, the anchor of your faith. Soon, beloved, you will not only see signs, you will see the manifestation itself standing before you. For Spirit is faithful. The signs are the preview, the decree is the invitation, and expectancy is the open door. Walk in this rhythm daily, and nothing can stop what heaven has already prepared for you. Beloved, we have walked together through the language of Spirit. We have seen how signs appear, how expectancy opens the way, how numbers, dreams, and divine echoes whisper that your manifestation is near. Now it is time to seal this truth with the final decree. Place your hand upon your heart, breathe deeply, and speak with authority. I recognize the signs Spirit has placed in my path. They are not coincidence, they are confirmation. Every repetition, every number, every whisper is evidence that my manifestation is close. I align with divine law. I walk in faith. I live in gratitude. What I have spoken is already mine. I say it again, stronger, my manifestation is close. I receive it now under grace and in perfect ways. No fear can delay it, no doubt can block it, no stress can steal it. I am aligned, I am expectant, I am grateful. Spirit has already prepared my blessing, and I welcome it with joy. Beloved, let these words sink into your spirit. The sign is proof, but the decree is the seal. Each time you see the number, hear the phrase, feel the tug of intuition, repeat these words and stand firm. You are not waiting in uncertainty. You are walking in certainty. You are not hoping in desperation. You are rejoicing in expectation. And so, beloved, walk forward from this moment with eyes open to the signs, lips ready with decree, and a heart anchored in gratitude. For the truth cannot be denied. If you keep seeing it, your manifestation is close, and so it is.
Welcome back, everyone. You're tuned into the deep dive. Today, we're continuing our exploration into the profound wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. We're going to gently unpack some powerful, really timeless truths about money, abundance, divine supply, and faith. Especially, for those moments when you might be feeling truly tired, maybe overwhelmed, or just seeking a clearer, more peaceful path forward. Because for so many of us, navigating finances and our sense of worth in today's world, well, it can stir up a lot of anxiety, even a quiet sense of guilt sometimes. We often find ourselves caught in this cycle of striving, constantly chasing external validation or security. But what if? What if the very foundation of how we've been taught to view abundance was, well, a grand illusion?
That's such a powerful question, and it really gets right to the heart of Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings, doesn't it?
It really does.
She invites us to challenge a silent agreement we've unknowingly signed, like an unwritten contract sort of whispered to us through life
Yeah.
that tells us our worth is earned and abundance is this
Mhm.
far off, elusive land. Our mission today really is to help you truly see that contract and then lovingly but firmly tear it up to remind you of the inherent truth of who you are.
Okay, so let's start right there. Let's acknowledge that common struggle. It's real. Many of us truly feel like we were born with an empty cup,
Yeah.
constantly scurrying, performing, pleasing others just to earn these little drops of validation or security.
Hmm.
We shrink our dreams, maybe whispering to ourselves, "Oh, I could never afford that," or just feeling that persistent sting of lack. You might recognize this feeling in, ongoing financial
The
anxiety.
kind that wakes you up at 3 a.m.
Exactly, or the burnout from constantly overworking, or even just a subtle, persistent sense of not being enough, no matter what you achieve.
And Florence Scovel Shinn, she boldly declares this pervasive feeling of lack is nothing short of a lie. She even calls it a poverty hex wrapped into everyday
A
language.
poverty hex.
Well, and the surprising insight isn't just that it's a lie, but that its power comes from its invisibility. It's this silent script we've unconsciously adopted, often disguised as being realistic or maybe being humble.
Right, that makes sense.
The truth, Florence insists, is that you were not born empty. You were born an ocean. You were not born into lack. You were born from abundance itself.
Mm,
You were born an architect, endowed with the power to create worlds, not a beggar scrambling for crumbs. Divine supply is your birthright because you are literally remembering who you truly are.
remembering.
Yes. The universal laws of belief, supply, and assumption, they've always been working for you, tirelessly awaiting your clear instruction. The challenge is, we've often been unconsciously giving them the wrong blueprints.
Ah, the wrong blueprints. That's a crucial point. So if true wealth doesn't begin in your bank account, where does it begin?
Well, Florence tells us it starts in the quiet, sacred space of your imagination. She calls it the quiet cathedral of your imagination.
I love that phrase.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in the inner conversations you have with yourself, and even more profoundly, in the feeling you dare to embody. It's truly about the inner blueprints you've been giving to the universe.
Okay.
Exactly. Florence says your imaginal faculty is the scissors of the mind, constantly cutting out the scenes you will one day live through.
Scissors of the mind.
Yeah. And the deeper insight here is that your mind scissors aren't just cutting out what you focus on, they're constantly shaping your identity.
Ah, okay. Identity.
Yes. So are you cutting pictures of overwhelming debt or clear blueprints of financial freedom, snapshots of fear and limitation, or the grand design of your divine inheritance?
Mm.
A truly soul deep, wealthy person isn't defined by what they possess externally,
Right.
but by the beliefs they let possess them internally. Think about it. When you're battling, say, career stress or those self worth struggles,
Mm-hmm.
what images are you consistently holding of your potential? Are those images expansive or are they subtly, maybe unconsciously, limiting you?
This is where it gets really fascinating and, incredibly practical too. Florence emphasizes that your word is your wand.
Yes.
It sounds almost magical, but it's rooted in something really profound, isn't it?
Absolutely. Every single phrase you speak, whether it's whispered in fear or declared in faith, is a direct command,
A command.
a powerful seed planted, a decree sent out to take form in your reality.
Okay, but let's be honest with ourselves here.
Hmm.
How often do we inadvertently mutter these incantations of lack all day long?
All the time.
Things like, oh, I can't afford that, or it's just so hard to make ends meet. I'm just trying to get by, or even, I hope things get better.
Right. That hope language. Florence calls these the language of the servant, the incantations of delay.
Incantations of delay.
Yeah. She says the aligned soul, however, speaks with unwavering conviction. I have. I am. It is done.
Wow, no pleading.
No pleading, no begging, just a calm, centered, unwavering conviction. We have to begin to speak with what she calls royal command,
Royal command.
choosing only words of wealth, worth, and wonder. Because your subconscious mind, it has no sense of humor.
Right, it just takes orders.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
doesn't filter for sarcasm or doubt.
Yeah.
It processes every thought and word as a direct instruction, a blueprint for your reality.
That's huge.
It's immensely powerful, especially when navigating that persistent financial anxiety or feeling stuck in a career.
Yeah.
Our words literally dictate our internal framework and what we believe is possible for us.
Okay, so with these powerful inner blueprints and understanding, our words are like wands. What does this actually mean for daily life? How do we live this wisdom?
Well, Florence gives us this powerful practice she calls spiritual dramatization.
Spiritual dramatization. Okay.
And she's very clear. It's not about faking it. Faking it carries this energy of desperation, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, like you don't really believe it.
Precisely. It's about faking it until you see it.
Faithing it.
An inner rehearsal,
Hmm.
a deliberate, vivid imagining of your desired reality as if it's already true.
Yeah.
And that act changes your outer reality.
Yeah. So the subconscious mind, it can't tell the difference.
It can't. As we touched on, it's remarkably literal. It cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and a physical one.
Okay.
So when you consistently repeat a new identity, a new reality in your mind and in your body,
Mm-hmm.
it has no choice but to accept it as truth and begin to move heaven and earth, really, to conform your outer world to that inner blueprint. The law responds to the boldest, the clearest, the most persistent impression.
So it's about persistence.
Persistence and clarity. I invite you, just imagine yourself as the version of you who is already a clear channel for infinite supply.
Okay.
What would that version of you do? Would she hesitate to invest in her soul's growth?
Probably not.
Would she second guess her vision? Doubt her right to be seen and celebrated for her gifts?
No. No, she wouldn't.
See, this isn't just theory. It's a practical, transformative shift for managing burnout, for building a truly purpose driven life. It's huge.
What a beautiful way to put it. And it connects to that idea that your energy truly walks 10 feet ahead of your body.
Exactly.
Money responds to identity, not just the name on your ID, but the identity you wear.
In your posture, your pace, your presence?
Yeah. And Florence delves into this with what she calls the mirror test.
Ah, yes, the mirror test. Florence teaches that poverty isn't just financial, it's spiritual, it's energetic, it's habitual.
Energetic.
Yes, she speaks of energetic bankruptcy.
Okay, what's that?
It's a state where your spirit is essentially overdrawn because you're consistently giving your power away, shrinking your desires, saying yes to things you don't truly want, or agreeing to less than you deserve.
Wow. That sounds familiar for a lot of people, I
I
think.
think so too. And the mirror test asks this really profound question. Can you look at yourself right in the eyes with wealth in your eyes and not flinch?
Hmm.
What do you see? Do you see flaws, fears, failures, a past full of mistakes? Or do you see an heir, a magnificent vessel, a masterpiece of divine substance?
That's powerful.
Because what you receive is never greater than what you believe you deserve.
Oof.
So this means we must actively cancel those old unconscious contracts of lack and limitation, declaring with real conviction, I now see the millionaire in me. I respect her. I receive her.
I receive her.
This is crucial for truly overcoming those deep self-worth struggles and that often unspoken guilt around receiving money or success.
This brings us to another vital reframe then. Because how often do we pray or wish from that place of pleading,
Constantly.
desperately asking for money or success, only to find it seems to just run from us or stay just out of reach?
Right. Florence gives us a game-changing perspective here.
Okay.
She says, very simply, begging blocks the blessing.
Picking blocks the blessing. Simple but profound.
Isn't it? You're not born to plead. You were born to partner with the divine and command your subconscious mind.
Partner in command.
Yes. When you align yourself and declare, I am the one, I am the channel, it is done, you align with the very power of creation itself. This is what she calls receiving mode.
Receiving mode.
It's not loud or arrogant. It's a powerful, magnetic, silent knowing.
A silent knowing.
You don't actually get what you want in that needy sense. You get what you have the faith to claim is already yours.
Faith to claim it as already yours.
Exactly. So we drop the language of lack. We shift to a new creed, a deep internal knowing. I no longer ask. I align. I expect. I receive.
I align, I expect, I receive. Wow. What a profound shift we've explored today, this deep dive.
It really isn't meant to be just an idea or, a passing inspiration.
No.
It's an energetic, irreversible embodiment of truth. So wherever you are right now, we invite you to take just a moment for profound activation.
Yes. If you can, close your eyes for a moment. Place your hand over your heart. Feel its steady beat that rhythm is the pulse of divine supply. Always there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, consciously release the weight of the old agreement, that silent contract of lack you might have been carrying. And with absolute certainty, repeat these words after us, slowly and with true feeling, either silently or aloud. I now claim my sovereign identity.
By divine right and with divine ease.
I think, speak, and act in perfect alignment. With grace, wealth, and wholeness.
I release the performance of poverty.
I divorce the identity of worry.
I walk with presence.
I radiate power.
I command with peace.
All that I desire is already mine in divine mind.
And I now command it forth into visible expression.
This is my divine inheritance.
When I claim it fully and gratefully now.
Yeah.
Just feel that power coalescing within you. You are not becoming. You are not waiting. You are.
Beautiful. Remember, everyone, faith is the courage to believe before you ever see the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Fear, on the other hand, demands to see the proof before it will even consider believing. The kingdom, your divine inheritance, is already yours. What if the most powerful thing you could do today is simply remember that truth? Just allow yourself to rest in it.
Absolutely. And this deep dive is just another step, another layer in truly understanding Florence Scovel Shinn's profound wisdom. Keep exploring these principles in your life because they truly, truly have the power to transform.
They really do. And if you haven't already, be sure to watch the related video. You can click on the end screen video right now or find the link in the description below. Until next time, keep remembering who you truly are.
There exists, hidden within the fabric of the universe, a vibration, a sacred number, a law so exact that when it is understood, money flows as freely as rain upon the thirsty earth. It is not a number written upon ledgers of man, nor does it appear in the calculations of banks or accountants. This number lives in the unseen, in the spiritual mathematics that governs all abundance. It is the cipher of harmony between thought and substance, the key that unlocks the treasury of heaven. Every soul is born with the right to prosperity, yet many walk in ignorance of this divine equation. They search the outer world for security, clutching coins and counting bills, not realizing that true wealth is first formed in the inner sanctuary of thought. For money is but a symbol, a messenger, a shadow of the substance that already exists in infinite supply. To call it forth, one must tune the heart to the right vibration, the exact rhythm of faith and fearless expectancy. The secret number that rains money is not guessed by chance, nor forced by will. It is revealed when one aligns with the eternal truth that God is the unfailing source of supply. Fear, doubt, and resentment create broken calculations. They divide and subtract. Gratitude, faith, and joyful expectation multiply without limit. When the mind strikes the right chord, when words are spoken in harmony with divine law, the rain of money descends in perfect season, watering every dry place in life. This number cannot be hoarded, for it is living, flowing, ever in motion. Those who try to lock it away in vaults and guard it, with anxiety lose its blessing, for they have stepped out of rhythm. But those who give freely, trusting the invisible bank of spirit, find that the more they pour out, the more is poured back to them. It is a rain that never ceases, for the clouds of supply are filled from an eternal ocean. To discover this secret number, one must silence the noise of worry and tune the inner ear to the whisper of intuition. Spirit speaks in symbols, in flashes of inspiration, in sudden guidance that seems as natural as breathing. The number appears when the heart is free from fear of lack, when the lips speak only of abundance, when the eyes see prosperity everywhere. Then, without effort, doors open, opportunities appear, debts vanish, and streams of money flow as though commanded by an unseen hand. The rain does not fall for the chosen few. It falls wherever the atmosphere is prepared. Anyone may call it down. Anyone may live in its refreshing shower. The law is impartial, exact, eternal. Those who know it walk in plenty, not because they strive, but because they trust. They have found the key, the sacred number, and with it they open the storehouse of heaven, where supply is measureless, and money rains as surely as the spring showers upon the earth. Money is a symbol of divine supply, not the source itself. To the ordinary mind, money is the beginning and end of every transaction, the very lifeblood of existence. It appears as the golden thread that weaves together security, comfort, and recognition. Yet to the awakened mind, money is nothing more than a picture, a shadow, a representation of something infinitely greater. Just as a photograph is not the living person, but only the reflection of their likeness, so is money not the true substance, but the symbol of the abundance that flows from the invisible reservoir of spirit. To mistake the symbol for the source is to chase shadows and live in perpetual fear of losing what was never real power to begin with. To see money as divine supply made manifest is to step into freedom, knowing that behind every coin and every bill stands the infinite Creator. Unchanging, unending, unmeasured. Many live in bondage to this shadow, fearing its loss, longing for its gain, and shaping their days around its pursuit. They rise and sleep with thoughts of bills and balances, as if their very breath depended upon numbers written on paper. Yet the truth is that money in itself has no breath, no life, no strength. It carries only the meaning man has placed upon it. The paper is pulp. The coin is metal, yet the faith behind them is what gives them circulation. The moment one remembers that money is a servant, and not a master, a symbol and not the source, chains fall away, for one no longer bows before the shadow, but lifts their eyes to the light that casts it. The source is eternal, invisible, and inexhaustible. It is that which clothes the lilies of the field without effort, that which feeds the birds of the air without worry. It is the law of abundance woven into creation itself. Just as the ocean does not ration its waves, nor the sun limit its rays, so does the infinite not withhold supply from its children. To think that supply can dry up is to believe in separation from the divine. Money may shift, forms may change, channels may close, yet the source itself remains unbroken, unending, forever giving of its own nature. Those who see only the money miss the fountain. Those who look past the symbol to the spirit drink continually from the ever-flowing stream. When a man clings to money as his security, he builds his house upon sand. The tides of fortune may sweep it away in an hour. But when he rests in the awareness that money is merely one channel among countless others, through which divine supply expresses, then he cannot be shaken. One door may close, but another opens with perfect timing. A bank account may empty, but unexpected provision appears from places unseen. Supply is never limited to a paycheck, a business, or an investment. These are only shadows cast by the substance. To worship the shadow is to be deceived. To trust the substance is to live in unbroken plenty. Money in the hands of one who knows its place becomes a holy tool, a channel of blessing, an instrument of service. It is no longer clutched in fear but released in joy. Such a one gives freely, not to impress, not to buy favor, but because he knows that giving and receiving are one. The river must flow, or it becomes stagnant. So too does supply stagnate when one hoards in fear. To release is to make room for more, to open the channels for greater streams. This cannot be understood by those who see money as the source. For to them, giving is loss. But to the awakened, giving is multiplication, for they know the source can never be diminished. Consider the farmer who plants seeds in the ground. He does not mourn the seeds as though they were lost forever. He knows the ground is abundant, and that each seed will return manyfold. So it is with money when seen as a seed of divine supply. To place it where intuition guides, to use it for good, to circulate it with gratitude, is to sow into the invisible law that governs all prosperity. The harvest may appear as money, or it may appear as opportunity, as health, as protection, as doors swinging open at the right moment. The form may vary, but the source is always the same, eternal, unfailing. The great error of mankind has been the worship of the symbol. Nations rise and fall in their pursuit of gold. Men betray and destroy for the sake of possession, forgetting that the very gold they cling to is dust in comparison with the treasure of spirit. Money without awareness of its true source becomes a false god, promising peace but delivering restlessness, offering safety but birthing fear. For if money is the source, then man is always in danger of losing it. But if spirit is the source, then man is forever safe, forever sustained, forever prosperous, regardless of outer appearances. Every thought of lack, every fear of loss, every anxious calculation is born of forgetting the truth of supply. To remember is to rest, to walk in peace, to know that what one needs will come in perfect ways and perfect timing. Money may appear as the channel today. Tomorrow it may be another form altogether. The channel may change, but the supply is constant. Just as water may flow through different rivers, but remains the same ocean, so does supply flow through many avenues yet remains one infinite source. The wise soul does not cling to the river, but trusts the ocean. Money as symbol is a mirror, reflecting back to each individual the state of their consciousness. When one dwells in fear, money appears scarce, fleeting, elusive. When one abides in gratitude and expectancy, money flows with ease. The outer always mirrors the inner. To chase after the reflection without changing the image within is futile. It is like polishing a mirror while ignoring the face it reflects. But to cultivate thoughts of abundance, to speak words of plenty, to act with confidence in the unseen source, is to shape the inner image, and the mirror of money must follow in harmony. In truth, no one is ever without supply, for the source is as near as breath and as vast as eternity. It is man's perception that creates the illusion of lack. By lifting thought above appearances, by refusing to be hypnotized by the shadow, by affirming the reality of divine abundance, one calls forth the symbol in greater measure. Money then appears naturally, effortlessly, as the shadow of the substance, the messenger of the source, the rain that proves the existence of the clouds above. Fear divides and subtracts. Faith multiplies and adds. Fear is the great thief of life, the shadow that creeps into the mind and whispers of lack, of danger, of uncertainty. It paints pictures of tomorrow that never arrive, it drains the energy of today, and it builds walls between man and his good. Fear is subtraction, the silent eraser that removes opportunities, that divides the strength of the spirit, that weakens the very hands that could have built prosperity. It speaks in the language of limitation, always pointing to what is missing, never to what is possible. Fear shrinks the vision, narrows the path, and convinces the soul to live on scraps when a feast has been laid before it. Every thought of fear is a command to the universe to withhold. Every word of worry is a magnet for delay. Every anxious action is a seed that bears the fruit of frustration. Faith, by contrast, multiplies and adds. It is the golden key that opens every locked door, the sunlight that brings forth a harvest from the seed, the power that transforms the invisible into the visible. Faith is the assurance that the source is always present, always abundant, always providing. It does not waver in the face of appearances, for it knows that appearances are shadows, and that substance is eternal. Faith adds strength where fear subtracts it, it multiplies courage where fear divides it, It calls forth prosperity where fear whispers of poverty. The soul that walks in faith is never alone, for faith attracts support, opportunities, and ideas. Just as a magnet draws iron to itself, faith draws provision, guidance, and supply. Fear always calculates loss. It counts coins with trembling hands, measuring what is too little, convincing the mind that there will never be enough. Fear divides the future into fragments of disaster, adding up the cost of imagined troubles, subtracting peace before anything has even occurred. Faith, on the other hand, calculates increase. It looks at the same small coin and sees it multiplying into many. It looks at the empty field and sees the golden harvest. It sees beyond the present lack into the abundance that already exists in the unseen. Faith adds hope, and hope adds power, and power adds results. Fear says, I cannot. Faith says, it is already done. Fear says, what if I fail? Faith says, what if I succeed beyond measure? Fear shrinks every opportunity until it appears impossible. Faith expands every possibility until it becomes inevitable. Fear turns the mind into a prison. Faith opens the mind into a kingdom. Fear divides the self, setting thought against action, heart against will, dream against reality. Faith unites them, harmonizing thought, word, and action into one powerful current that moves directly toward fulfillment. Fear makes man cling to what he has, as if letting go would leave him destitute. Faith makes man give, knowing that to give is to receive, that the act of releasing multiplies the return. Fear subtracts joy from every transaction, weighing it down with worry and suspicion. Faith adds joy to every exchange, lighting it with gratitude and expectation. Fear divides relationships, setting man against man, nation against nation. For fear always imagines lack and competition. Faith multiplies unity, seeing that supply is infinite, and that no man's gain is another's loss. Fear weakens the body as well as the spirit. It subtracts energy, divides health, and multiplies disease. Faith strengthens every cell, adds vitality, and multiplies resilience. Fear produces confusion, faith brings clarity. Fear locks the door, faith opens the window. Fear subtracts from the song of life, making it a whisper of doubt. Faith multiplies the music until it becomes a symphony of abundance. When fear governs the mind, the imagination is poisoned. It creates pictures of failure, disaster, poverty, and betrayal. The more one gazes upon these inner pictures, the more power they receive, until they seem to manifest as reality. Fear divides the creative power of thought and turns it against itself. But when faith governs the mind, imagination becomes a servant of abundance. It paints pictures of success, prosperity, joy, and fulfillment. These pictures draw substance from the unseen and clothe themselves in form. Faith adds power to thought, multiplies its effect, and manifests abundance. The law of life is exact: what one fears comes upon him. What one has faith in grows before him. Fear sows subtraction and reaps lack. Faith sows multiplication and reaps plenty. Fear looks at the desert and sees only barrenness. Faith looks at the desert and sees rivers springing forth. Fear dwells on obstacles and multiplies them in the mind until they block every path. Faith acknowledges obstacles, but adds the conviction that every obstacle is a stepping stone, every barrier a bridge, every problem a doorway to greater provision. Fear divides man from his own intuition. It drowns out the still small voice with clamors of doubt and panic. Faith adds harmony to the inner ear, making it sensitive to guidance, to flashes of inspiration, to sudden knowing. Fear subtracts opportunities by closing the eyes to them, even when they are near at hand. Faith multiplies opportunities by making the eyes keen to see them, the hands ready to grasp them, the heart prepared to act upon them. Fear holds man in bondage, faith sets him free. Fear is the belief in absence. Faith is the conviction of presence. Fear says, I am alone. Faith says, the infinite walks with me. Fear subtracts courage in the face of challenge. Faith multiplies courage until the challenge becomes a triumph. Fear divides man's strength, spreading it thin with endless worries, while faith gathers all strength into a single focused power. Fear weakens the voice until it trembles. Faith adds authority until it commands. Fear multiplies obstacles. Faith multiplies solutions. Fear divides the mind into indecision, faith unites it into action. The world is full of men and women who have allowed fear to divide and subtract. They live small lives, shrinking back from opportunity, clutching at safety, only to find that safety eludes them. Yet the few who live by faith walk paths that expand and expand, for faith multiplies their influence, their prosperity, their joy. They are not reckless but assured, not careless but trusting, not anxious but expectant. They know that each step forward adds to their supply, each act of courage multiplies their return. Each word of faith commands the very substance of the universe to shape itself around their intention. Gratitude and joyful expectation open the floodgates of abundance. Gratitude is the recognition of the divine hand already moving in one's life, the acknowledgement that supply is here, present, flowing, regardless of appearances. It is the soul's song of appreciation for the gifts already received, whether large or small, visible or unseen. Gratitude is a magnet, drawing to itself more of what it acknowledges. When one gives thanks for the little multiplies. When one gives thanks for the unseen becomes visible. Gratitude turns the key that unlocks hidden treasures, for it aligns the heart with the rhythm of abundance. The ungrateful heart closes doors, for it focuses only on what is missing, on lack, on emptiness. But the grateful heart sees fullness everywhere and attracts more of it into manifestation. Gratitude is the declaration that good is present now, not in some distant future, and this recognition hastens the flow of supply. Joyful expectation is the twin of gratitude, for it looks forward with confidence, knowing that the same source that has provided will provide again, in greater measure, in perfect timing, in perfect ways. Expectation is faith clothed in anticipation, the assurance that tomorrow holds blessing, that opportunities are on their way, that prosperity is unfolding even when no evidence appears. It is the attitude that greets each day not with dread, but with delight, not with worry but with wonder, ready to receive the miracle that is already in motion. Joyful expectation keeps the channel open, for it refuses to doubt, refuses to fear, refuses to close the gate with disbelief. It is the consciousness that prepares the room for the guest before the guest arrives, that sets the table before the feast is seen, that sings the song before the victory is heard. Gratitude without expectation can be static, content with what is but never reaching for what could be. Expectation without gratitude can be restless, always looking forward without appreciating the present. But together, gratitude and joyful expectation form the perfect current, one that acknowledges the blessings already in hand while eagerly opening the door to greater blessings on the way. Gratitude roots the soul in peace, expectation lifts the soul in vision. Gratitude says, I am blessed now. Expectation says, greater blessings are coming. Together they form the perfect circle of abundance, unbroken, unending, ever increasing. Gratitude transforms the mind's vision. Where another may see lack, the grateful heart sees opportunity. Where another may see delay, the grateful heart sees preparation. Gratitude turns the smallest coin into evidence of prosperity, the smallest gesture into a sign of love, the smallest opportunity into the seed of a great harvest. Gratitude multiplies because it sees multiplication everywhere. Joyful expectation, on the other hand, directs the gaze forward, beyond obstacles, beyond delays, beyond appearances. It creates a magnetic pull toward the future, drawing good into the present with its confident anticipation. Expectation lifts the horizon of thought, teaching the mind to anticipate blessing rather than disaster, supply rather than shortage, growth rather than decline. The universe responds to gratitude with generosity. Just as a friend who feels appreciated desires to give more, so does life itself pour out more upon the one who lives in thanksgiving. Gratitude is the vibration of acknowledgement, and acknowledgement attracts repetition. When one gives thanks for money received, more money finds its way. When one gives thanks for health, the body strengthens. When one gives thanks for love, relationships deepen. The law is precise: whatever one thanks for increases. Joyful expectation amplifies this law by creating the readiness to receive. It is the open hand, the outstretched vessel, the consciousness that makes room for abundance to enter. Without expectation, abundance may be near but cannot find its place. With expectation, abundance has a clear channel to flow. Gratitude speaks in the present tense: I am supplied, I am provided for, I am blessed. Expectation speaks in the future tense: greater supply is on the way, greater provision is unfolding, greater blessings are prepared. Together they create an unbroken stream of prosperity. The soul that practices gratitude alone may rest in peace, but stagnate in growth. The soul that practices expectation alone may rush toward the future but overlook the beauty of now. The soul that blends the two walks in perfect balance, grounded in appreciation yet lifted by vision, content yet expansive, peaceful yet progressive. Gratitude dissolves complaint, for one cannot complain and give thanks at the same time. Complaint focuses on what is lacking. Gratitude focuses on what is present. Complaint closes the gate, gratitude opens it wide. Joyful expectation dissolves worry, for one cannot worry and expect good simultaneously. Worry prepares for loss, expectation prepares for gain. Worry arms itself for disaster. Expectation prepares itself for blessing. Gratitude and expectation together silence the voices of fear and doubt. For they shift the focus entirely from what is missing to what is given, from what could go wrong to what must go right. The power of gratitude lies in its ability to shift consciousness instantly. The moment one gives thanks, the heart lifts, the mind clears, the spirit shines. Gratitude does not wait for outer change, it creates inner change that draws outer change. The power of expectation lies in its ability to sustain momentum. Gratitude brings peace in the moment, expectation carries that peace forward, day by day, until the vision becomes real. Gratitude is the seed, expectation is the sunlight, and together they bring forth the harvest. Those who live without gratitude dwell in scarcity, for they never see the blessings already at their feet. They wander in the desert though springs flow beside them. Those who live without expectation dwell in stagnation, for they never prepare for greater blessings, and thus they do not come. But those who live in both gratitude and expectation live in a perpetual spring, where blessings flow in the present and multiply into the future. Gratitude anchors them, expectation expands them. Gratitude enriches the now. Expectation draws forth the tomorrow. Gratitude is the key that unlocks what is already given. Expectation is the call that summons what is yet to come. Gratitude turns lack into sufficiency. Expectation turns sufficiency into abundance. Gratitude is the voice of the heart. Expectation is the vision of the mind. And when the two speak together, the universe responds in kind. Gratitude pours oil on the wheels of life. Expectation sets them in motion. Gratitude clears the clouds. Expectation calls down the rain. Gratitude makes the vessel whole. Expectation fills it to overflowing. Giving freely keeps the current of wealth in motion. Wealth is not a stagnant pool but a flowing river, alive only as long as it moves. To hold it tightly in fear of loss is to dam the stream, and what was once living begins to grow stale and dry. The law of circulation governs all things. The air must move to remain fresh. The blood must flow to keep the body alive. The river must run to keep its waters pure. In the same way, money must circulate to maintain its vitality, and it circulates most powerfully through the open hand of giving. Giving is not loss but expansion. What is given with trust and joy multiplies and returns, not always in the same form, but always in greater measure. To release freely is to declare to the universe, I am not limited by what I hold, I am connected to an inexhaustible source that continually replenishes me. Fear says, if I give, I will have less. Faith says, if I give, I open the door to more. Fear clutches, faith releases. Fear breaks the current, faith keeps it flowing. Those who understand this law know that true prosperity is never measured by what one has in storage, but by the freedom with which one gives and the certainty that what is given is already on its way back multiplied. The miser who hoards suffers under the illusion of security. He locks away his gold, but in the silence of his vault there is no movement, no life, no joy. His wealth becomes a prison, and he becomes its prisoner. He lives in fear of thieves, in dread of loss, in suspicion of others. His hoard subtracts from his peace rather than adding to it. But the giver lives in freedom, for his wealth is never bound to a vault, never chained to one channel. He knows that as long as he gives, he remains in the current, and as long as the current flows, he can never be without. His security is not in accumulation, but in circulation, not in possession, but in participation with the law of giving and receiving. Every act of giving is a seed. It may be money, it may be time, it may be kindness, but every seed carries within it a harvest. The farmer does not count his loss when he scatters seed upon the earth. He knows the return will come in abundance. So too the wise soul does not mourn what is given, but rejoices, for he knows the law will return it in greater measure. Giving freely, without calculation or fear, plants seeds in the unseen soil of spirit, and these seeds bear fruit in perfect timing. Sometimes the harvest comes in money, sometimes in opportunity, sometimes in healing, sometimes in protection, but always it comes, for the law cannot fail. The spirit in which one gives determines the nature of the return. A gift given reluctantly, with resentment or pride, carries little power. A gift given with joy, with gratitude, with love, carries the vibration of abundance and multiplies swiftly. The universe does not respond to the coin alone, but to the consciousness with which the coin is given. To give in fear is to keep the current clogged, but to give in joy is to open the floodgates wide. The cheerful giver lives in a constant stream of supply, for his giving is a song that draws the echoes of heaven. Giving also dissolves the illusion of separation. When one gives, he acknowledges that he is not isolated, that his good is not cut off from others. He becomes a channel through which abundance flows, and in being such a channel, he remains connected to the source. To cut off giving is to cut off receiving, for they are two ends of the same current. To hoard is to declare oneself apart, and in that declaration, the flow ceases. But to give is to remain connected, to keep the channels open, to ensure that the current never dries up. The paradox of giving is that the more one releases, the more one has. Those who give of their wealth find more wealth returning. Those who give of their time find more time appearing. Those who give of their talents find more talents unfolding. The law is multiplication, not subtraction. To cling is to diminish, to release is to expand. This is why many who have little yet give freely often live in joy and find their needs continually supplied, while those who have much yet hoard live in fear and see their riches slip through their fingers. Giving freely requires trust in the unseen source. It requires the conviction that one is always provided for, that there is no true loss, that what goes out returns in multiplied form. Without this trust, giving feels like danger. With it, giving feels like freedom. The act of giving declares, I live in abundance, not in scarcity. I am sustained by an infinite supply, not by what I hold in my hand. I trust the law of circulation to bring back to me what I need, when I need it, in perfect measure. Even nature itself teaches this law. The tree gives its fruit, and in that giving, the seed is sown for future harvests. The clouds give their rain, and in that giving, the rivers are filled and the land made fertile. The sun gives its light, and in that giving, life flourishes on earth. Nothing in creation hoards, for hoarding would mean death. Life survives and multiplies only through circulation, through the continual giving and receiving that sustains the whole. Man alone imagines that he can break this law, clutching at possessions and fearing their loss, yet wondering why prosperity eludes him. Giving breaks the spell of fear. Fear whispers, hold tightly, you may never have enough. Giving replies, I release freely, for I am always supplied. Fear counts and measures, calculating every coin, every hour, every favor, always expecting loss. Giving multiplies without calculation, trusting the invisible hand that governs all increase. In giving, fear loses its grip, and faith takes its place. The giver learns through experience that he can never truly run out, for the source is limitless, and the more he gives, the more the law proves itself true. To give freely is to act as a channel for divine abundance. The river does not keep its waters for itself, yet it is never dry. The sun does not withhold its light, yet it never burns out. In the same way, Man who gives freely does not diminish himself, but becomes a living instrument of abundance. As he pours out, he is continually replenished. As he shares, he is continually supplied. His wealth is measured not by what he clutches, but by what flows through him. The secret number is revealed through alignment with spiritual law. This number is not discovered in books of arithmetic, nor is it whispered by economists who count only what they see with their eyes. It is an inner equation, a divine cipher, a harmony between thought, word, and action that tunes the soul to the frequency of abundance. When one lives in alignment with the laws of spirit, the number appears naturally, not in figures or symbols written on paper, but as a vibration that attracts money, opportunities, and supply as surely as the magnet draws iron. It cannot be forced, it cannot be begged, it cannot be stolen. It is revealed through harmony with the higher laws that govern all manifestation. Spiritual law is exact and impartial. It does not bend to personal preference or emotional pleading. It operates with perfect precision, like gravity or the rising of the sun. To align with it is to walk in safety and abundance. To resist it is to stumble in lack and confusion. The secret number is revealed when one ceases to struggle against these laws, and instead moves with them. Just as a musician who plays in tune produces harmony, while one who plays off key produces discord, so does a soul aligned with spiritual law create prosperity, while a soul out of alignment experiences struggle and lack. The number is the inner harmony, the right note struck in the consciousness that causes the universe to respond with multiplication of supply. This alignment requires purity of thought, for thought is the blueprint upon which substance takes shape. Negative thoughts of fear, doubt, envy, or resentment distort the vibration, throwing the equation into imbalance. Positive thoughts of faith, gratitude, joy, and generosity tune the mind to the exact frequency where the secret number is revealed. Every thought is a digit, a piece of the calculation, and when the digits are arranged according to the laws of spirit, the full equation appears, unlocking the treasury of abundance. To think lack is to miscalculate and come to zero. To think abundance is to calculate rightly and arrive at the number that rains money. Words are also part of this alignment. Every word spoken is a decree, a declaration that sets the law into motion. Words of complaint, of worry, of fear, are like incorrect figures written into the sum, and the result must be shortage and frustration. Words of faith, of thanks, of prosperity, are like correct figures that complete the equation, and the result must be abundance. The tongue writes the arithmetic of life as surely as the pen writes on paper. To speak in harmony with the law is to add correctly. To speak against it is to subtract and divide. The secret number is revealed when one's words agree with the unseen truth of supply, when the lips refuse to confess lack and instead affirm the infinite provision already prepared. Action too is part of the alignment. To think abundantly but act fearfully is to break the equation. To speak of supply but cling tightly in hoarding is to erase the sum. Right action completes the alignment, for action is the physical digit that seals the calculation. Giving, trusting, moving forward with courage, following intuition, seizing opportunity, all these are actions that bring the inner alignment into outward form. The secret number appears when thought, word, and action flow together without contradiction, when the entire being is harmonized with the rhythm of abundance. The number is secret only because few are willing to align fully. Many try to hold to fear while asking for abundance, to speak of lack while hoping for prosperity, to act in doubt while claiming faith. Such imbalance clouds the equation and hides the number. But the law is simple and exact. What is sown in thought, word, and action must be reaped in form. When the sowing is aligned with spirit, the reaping is always abundance. The number then becomes visible in experience, in money that flows, in opportunities that multiply, in needs met before they are spoken. The universe itself is built upon number and law. The stars move in mathematical precision. The seasons turn in rhythm, the atoms spin in ordered sequence. There is no chaos in the foundation of creation, only perfect harmony. To align with spiritual law is to step into that cosmic order, to find one's place in the great equation. The secret number is simply the individual's alignment with this universal harmony, the personal expression of the same law that governs galaxies and grains of sand alike. Just as a note resonates with the scale when struck in tune, so does the individual resonate with abundance when aligned with law, and money flows as the echo of that resonance. This number is not given once and for all but must be continually revealed, for alignment is a living practice. Just as the musician must continually tune the instrument, just as the sailor must continually adjust his course, so must the soul continually align thought, word, and action with spirit. Each moment is a calculation, each day an equation. Gratitude recalculates, faith recalibrates, generosity restores balance, expectation multiplies the sum. When alignment is kept, the number is ever present, and supply is ever flowing. The secret number has nothing to do with chance or luck. It is not won by lottery or gamble, for it is not of man's system of chance but of divine order. Those who discover it through alignment need not strive or compete, for the law itself delivers abundance. They need not fear loss, for the law cannot fail. The rain falls when the atmosphere is prepared, and so money reigns when the consciousness is aligned. The atmosphere of gratitude, faith, generosity, and expectation prepares the ground, and the law releases the flood. The number is secret only to the unawakened. To the awakened, it is plain, revealed not in figures but in results. It shows itself in the rhythm of giving and receiving, in the balance of faith and action, in the harmony of inner truth and outer form. It is not memorized, it is lived. It is not studied, it is embodied. The secret number is the vibration of a soul in tune with the divine order. And wherever that vibration is found, money flows naturally, opportunities multiply, and abundance manifests in perfect measure. Money is not a stranger, nor an enemy, it is a faithful servant awaiting the word of command. It responds not to struggle or worry, but to the clear voice of authority that comes from one who knows their divine right to abundance. The universe is a treasury, overflowing with wealth. Yet it is not seized by force, it is summoned by command. Money is like a messenger, always listening for its master's call, always ready to obey when it hears the tone of certainty. When one speaks with fear, money hides, but when one speaks with assurance, it hastens forward. The invisible currents of supply move at the sound of the right word, the word spoken in faith, in alignment with the great law of prosperity. Every individual has within them the power to speak this word. It is not a gift for the few, it is an inheritance for all. The command does not come from the lips alone, but from the consciousness behind the lips, the knowing heart that accepts wealth as natural and rightful. As long as one clings to doubt, the command falters, and money waits in silence. But when the soul awakens to its authority, the command rings true, and money looks for you. Yes, it seeks you out, it finds its way through channels seen and unseen. The command is not begging, it is not pleading. To beg is to confess lack, to plead is to admit uncertainty. The command is a declaration, strong and calm: money, you are my servant. You come to me in perfect ways, at the right time, in the right measure, to fulfill every need. Such words spoken with conviction create a vibration that stirs the ethers. Invisible forces are set in motion. Opportunities are drawn like iron to the magnet, and doors open where none appeared before. Money does not wander aimlessly. It follows the track laid by the word of authority. Many imagine money as elusive, difficult to attain, but this is an illusion born of fear and separation. In truth, money is obedient, it longs to serve. It is waiting at the gate of command, waiting for the individual to speak with clarity. Just as the soldier waits for the order, just as the instrument waits for the musician's touch, so does money wait for the one who knows their power to direct it. The law is precise, unerring, impartial. It gives according to the word spoken, the thought held, the belief maintained. When one learns to issue the command without wavering, the outer world reshapes itself. Money comes by expected and unexpected paths, flowing like a river that finds its course. It comes through work, through gifts, through sudden chances, through the kindness of strangers, through the invisible orchestration of events. Always it answers the command. Always it looks for the one who has called it forth with authority and faith. Money is a servant, not a master, and obeys the voice of command. This simple truth overturns centuries of fear, struggle, and superstition around wealth. For ages, humanity has bowed before money as though it were a capricious ruler, granting or withholding according to its whim. Yet in reality, money has no will of its own. It has no power to dominate, no authority to enslave. It is substance in motion, a symbol of energy, a tool fashioned for service. The only master it recognizes is the consciousness of the one who calls it forth. To see money as a master is to live under bondage, but to know it as a servant is to stand in liberty. The servant does not instruct the master gives the order. So too with money. It does not decide who is worthy, who is ready, or who shall receive. It listens, it waits, it responds. When the individual speaks from fear, money reflects fear. When the individual speaks from power, money reflects power. If one says, "I never have enough," money obeys and remains scarce. If one says, "Money comes to me easily and abundantly," money obeys and appears in abundant ways. The servant simply follows instructions, faithfully and without question. To grasp this is to understand that money has no personality. It is not cruel when absent, nor benevolent when present. It carries no memory of the past, no judgment of the present, no expectation of the future. It is impartial, as neutral as water, as obedient as an echo. It only flows according to the channel carved by thought and word. When one commands with conviction, the channels widen. When one doubts, the channels narrow. It is not money itself that governs life, but the tone of the command issued to it. This truth is hidden in plain sight. Observe those who seem always surrounded by prosperity. They do not beg money to come. They do not chase it anxiously. They walk with assurance. They speak with authority. They act as if wealth belongs to them by right. And so it does. The servant obeys their tone. Money hastens to fulfill their orders, because the orders are clear and unwavering. In contrast, those who revere money as a master tremble before it, treat it as scarce and unreachable, and so it slips away from them like sand through the fingers. The servant cannot obey when the command is filled with contradiction. Consider the sun and the shadow. The shadow has no power of its own. It only appears when the sun is obstructed. Likewise, the seeming power of money over a person is only the shadow cast by their own fear and disbelief. When fear is lifted, money stands revealed in its rightful place as a loyal servant, ready to move at the sound of the word. To treat money as a master is to live in shadow. To know it as a servant is to walk in the light of dominion. This dominion is not arrogance, nor pride, nor vain boasting. It is the quiet recognition of law. The master does not need to shout, for the servant hears even the calmest word. The command need not be frantic, for the servant is ever attentive. One may say softly, "Money, you are my servant. You come when I call. You move when I direct. You serve every good purpose in my life." And the unseen substance of supply will begin to stir, to gather, to take form. The words are not magic, they are alignment. The authority lies not in volume but in certainty. Money obeys because it is bound by law to obey. Just as gravity responds without fail, just as the seed responds to soil, so money responds to command. It cannot resist, it cannot refuse, it cannot rebel. It has no power to say, no. If it does not appear, it is not because it denied the order, but because the order was unclear or mixed with doubt. The servant stands idle when the master is indecisive. The instant the order becomes firm, the instant the word is spoken with unwavering belief, money moves. It seeks out the path, it arranges the means. It manifests through channels both ordinary and extraordinary. Imagine a great household, where the master commands and the servants respond. If the master hesitates, stammers, or contradicts himself, the servants grow confused. They wait, uncertain of what to do. But when the master speaks with clarity and assurance, every servant knows their place, every duty is fulfilled. Money is such a servant. It does not think for itself, it does not invent its own tasks, it merely carries out what is commanded. The clearer the word, the swifter the obedience. Money as a servant is tireless. It does not sleep, it does not rest, it does not grow weary. It moves ceaselessly in the unseen, arranging opportunities, drawing resources, shifting circumstances, until it finds its way into the hands of the one who called it. To believe money is scarce is to tell the servant to hide. To believe money is plentiful is to tell the servant to reveal itself. The servant has no will apart from the master. The master alone determines the form and the measure. This changes the very posture of life. No longer must one chase money anxiously, no longer must one fear its absence. Instead, one stands in calm authority, knowing the servant is always near, always attentive, always ready. To worry is to issue the wrong command, for worry is an order in disguise. Worry says, "Stay away." Faith says, "Come forth." The servant responds faithfully to either. Thus, every thought is an order, every word a decree, every belief a command. The master must choose wisely, for the servant never fails to obey. Money is a servant, not a master, and this truth, once accepted, lifts the burden of struggle. It restores dignity, it restores peace, it restores command. One no longer bows to money as though it held the keys of destiny. Instead, one stands upright, speaks the word, and watches as the servant obeys. Money is not greater than the one who calls it, for the master is always greater than the servant. The command is law, and money, being a faithful servant, obeys. True command comes from inner faith, not outer pleading. The words alone, spoken without conviction, are like empty shells that carry no life. Pleading arises from fear, from the belief in lack, from the hidden thought that perhaps the request will not be answered. It is the language of doubt dressed in the clothing of desperation. When a person begs for money or opportunity, the very act of begging testifies that they do not believe they already possess the authority to summon it. Pleading places the power outside of oneself, as if some force, some distant gatekeeper, must be persuaded or convinced to release supply. But the law of abundance requires no persuasion, for it is impartial and unfailing. The universe does not respond to pleading, it responds to faith. Faith is the essence that gives weight to command. Without it, the word falls to the ground unheard. With it, the word travels like lightning through the unseen, setting into motion forces beyond human sight or calculation. Faith is the knowing that what is spoken already exists in the invisible, that the moment the command is given, the servant of supply has already begun to move. Pleading says, "Perhaps it will come, perhaps it will not." Faith declares, "It is mine now." By divine right. Pleading weakens the voice, while faith strengthens it with authority. A child never pleads with the parent for bread, for the child knows provision is natural. The child simply speaks, or even assumes, and the provision appears. This is the posture of command. To plead is to imagine separation from the source, to command is to know oneness with it. The one who commands does not doubt, does not tremble, does not attempt to persuade. They speak, and in speaking they release the creative power within. Faith and command are inseparable. For command without faith is noise, and faith without command is silence. The outer world is but an echo of the inner state. When the inner life is filled with fear, pleading becomes its natural expression. The lips cry out for help, the heart wonders if it will be answered, and money ever obedient reflects the uncertainty. It hides, delays, evades, because the order is mixed and contradictory. But when the inner life is grounded in faith, the voice speaks with quiet assurance, and money hastens to obey. The command may be as simple as, "I am supplied in full measure," and the unseen begins to arrange itself accordingly. Faith speaks with the calm certainty of one who knows the outcome is already secured. Faith is not noise, nor is it many words. Pleading often repeats itself endlessly, thinking that repetition will make it more effective. Yet endless repetition is often a sign of inner fear, not inner power. True command may be spoken only once, but its vibration is so complete, so filled with conviction, that the universe cannot resist. A single word of faith outweighs 1,000 cries of pleading. The force lies not in the number of times the words are spoken, but in the consciousness from which they rise. This is why so many struggle with supply, though they cry out for it day and night. Their words are many, but their faith is little. They are like the farmer who plants seeds but doubts they will grow, so he digs them up repeatedly to check if they have sprouted. Such doubt disrupts the process, and the harvest is delayed. The one who commands plants the seed of word and trusts the soil of the unseen to bring forth the fruit. He does not plead with the soil to produce. He knows it is its nature to do so. Faith does not ask if the law is willing, it knows the law is constant. Just as gravity never wavers, just as the sun rises without fail, the law of supply is steady and impartial. Pleading implies that the law might be moved by persuasion, that it might bend to desperation. But the law bends to nothing. It operates with precision, responding only to faith-filled command. The law does not show partiality to the rich or poor, the learned or unlearned. It responds solely to the vibration of belief behind the word. True command is not arrogance, for arrogance is rooted in insecurity. Pleading and arrogance are but two sides of the same coin, both stemming from a lack of faith in the law's unfailing operation. True command is calm, steady, without display. It is the confidence of one who knows the truth. Just as a king does not plead with his servant to carry out an order, the one who knows their authority does not plead with money to appear. They speak once with assurance, and the servant obeys. There is a quiet power in the voice of faith. It does not need to prove itself, it does not need to shout. The power lies in the certainty, in the unshakable inner conviction that what is spoken is already accomplished. Pleading is loud because it doubts it will be heard. Command may be soft, yet its echo is eternal because it carries the weight of truth. Faith fills the word with life, and life cannot be denied. The mind that pleads is always focused on lack. It sees only what is missing, and so it speaks from that vision. But the mind of faith sees beyond appearances. It sees the invisible abundance that surrounds and penetrates all things. When it speaks from fullness, not from emptiness. The servant of money, hearing the voice of fullness, rushes to bring forth its evidence. Pleading reinforces absence, command reveals presence. Faith is like the anchor that steadies the ship amid the storm. Pleading is like a vessel tossed by every wave, uncertain of where it will land. The command born of faith is immovable. It does not matter what appearances say, it does not matter what circumstances look like. Faith speaks, and appearances must change to match its decree. Pleading speaks, and appearances remain the same, for the voice of pleading carries no creative authority. The difference between pleading and command is the difference between bondage and freedom. One bows down to circumstances, hoping they will change. The other stands upright and declares, knowing circumstances must obey. Pleading gives power to the outer world, treating it as master. Command reclaims power from within, recognizing the outer world as servant. This inner shift transforms everything, for when the tone of command is found, money responds unfailingly. Faith is not merely belief, it is knowledge. It is the knowing that comes from aligning with law, the certainty that cannot be shaken by delay or appearances. Pleading always fears delay, it questions, it wonders, it doubts. But faith holds steady even when nothing yet appears, for it knows the unseen has already begun to move. The command born of such faith is irresistible. Money, hearing the note of certainty, hastens to obey. Money, authority attracts it. The universe listens not to the cry of desperation, but to the tone of certainty. Begging carries within it the vibration of lack. The hidden confession that the good one seeks is absent and difficult to attain. Authority, on the other hand, speaks with the vibration of possession. The calm knowledge that what is called for already exists in abundance and only awaits the signal to appear. The invisible laws of supply are never moved by anxious words or pleading tones. They are activated by the assurance of command. To beg is to push money away, to tell it through thought and word that it is separate and unwilling to come. To stand in authority is to draw it magnetically, to open the gates through which it flows. Begging is rooted in fear, and fear is a signal of doubt. The beggar says, I hope, I wish, I plead, I implore. But beneath the words lies the belief that perhaps nothing will happen, perhaps no answer will come. Money, being obedient to belief, mirrors this uncertainty. It lingers, delays, or hides because it has been instructed to do so. Authority is rooted in faith, and faith is certainty. The voice of authority says, "I speak, and it is done. Money is my servant, and it obeys." There is no struggle in this tone, no doubt, no hesitation. The very sound of it carries weight, and the unseen substance of supply hastens to follow. When one begs, they bow before money as if it were a master, as if it held the power of choice over them. This is a false image, for money has no will, no power to grant or deny. It is only a reflection of consciousness, a servant that moves as commanded. By begging, the individual assumes a posture of inferiority, placing money above themselves and treating it as the ruler of their fate. The more one begs, the more one confirms this false order, and money withdraws. For it cannot obey contradictory instructions. The servant cannot act when the master abdicates authority. Authority does not shout, nor does it plead. It simply speaks with calm assurance. The tone of authority carries conviction, and conviction is magnetic. Just as iron filings leap to a magnet, money leaps to the voice of one who knows their power to direct it. This is why authority attracts money. It is the signal of alignment with the law of supply. The law does not respond to need, nor to fear, but only to belief. Begging focuses on need, proclaiming it louder with every word. Authority focuses on fulfillment, speaking from the certainty that the need is already met. Imagine two individuals, one cries out for money day and night, repeating their need endlessly, hoping that by sheer persistence they may convince the universe to grant them relief. The other speaks once with conviction. Money comes to me in perfect ways. My supply is abundant and ever-flowing. The first continues in lack, for their words reinforce the image of absence. The second begins to see doors open, opportunities arise, unexpected channels appear, for their words declare abundance. The universe is impartial, it does not favor one over the other, it simply reflects the tone of their belief. Begging repels because it is infused with doubt. Authority attracts because it is infused with certainty. This principle can be seen in all of life. The person who approaches others with desperation often finds themselves avoided, for desperation carries an unsettling energy. The one who approaches with confidence and calm assurance is welcomed, for assurance carries harmony. Money responds in the same way. It gravitates toward confidence, it flees from desperation. To beg is to send forth the energy of desperation, to broadcast the signal of lack. To stand in authority is to send forth the energy of assurance, to broadcast the signal of plenty. One attracts, the other repels. Begging is noisy, filled with repetition, always trying to persuade. Authority is quiet, often needing few words, yet its weight is undeniable. Begging says, "Please, I do not know if you will come." Authority says, "You come, for I have spoken." The one tone is wavering, the other steady. The one sends money away, the other draws it close. This is why so many who spend years pleading for prosperity never find it, while those who calmly affirm their wealth with faith often see it appear quickly and naturally. Money is never offended by authority, for authority is its natural language. It was designed to serve, to obey, to move at the word of command. It only seems offended when approached with begging, because begging is the opposite of the law. Begging says, "I am powerless, and you are greater." Authority says, "You are powerless, and I am greater." The truth is that the individual, aligned with the law, is always greater than the symbol of money. Money is lifeless without command. It has no breath, no power, no direction apart from the consciousness of the one who calls it. Authority is not arrogance. Arrogance is hollow, born of insecurity, and beneath its loud words lies fear. True authority is steady, born of inner faith. It does not need to prove itself or to force. It simply knows. The voice of true authority may speak softly, but its effect is powerful, for it carries the resonance of conviction. Money cannot resist conviction. Just as an echo cannot resist returning the sound, it must respond, for it is bound by law. The beggar often feels exhausted, for pleading drains energy. Each word spoken from fear consumes the vitality of the speaker, leaving them weary and disheartened. Authority, by contrast, energizes. Each word spoken from faith strengthens the speaker, filling them with peace and assurance. The beggar lives in tension, waiting anxiously for evidence. The one who commands rests in calm, knowing the evidence is inevitable. Money flows to the restful spirit far more swiftly than to the anxious one, for rest is the signature of faith. Begging repels money not because money refuses, but because begging issues a contradictory order. To plead is to say, I do not have, and the law, impartial and exact, reflects it as absence. Authority attracts because it issues a clear and consistent order. I have, and the law reflects it as presence. The universe does not argue, it does not interpret, it does not weigh intentions. It simply mirrors the tone of the command. Those who learn to stand in authority cease chasing money. They cease fearing it, worshipping it, or begging for it. Instead, they allow it to chase them, to seek them out, to appear at their call. Authority turns the tables, restoring the rightful order. Money was never designed to rule the individual, it was designed to serve. Begging turns the servant into a master and leaves the individual in chains. Authority restores the servant to its rightful place and leaves the individual free. Words spoken with certainty set unseen forces into motion. The universe is not silent, nor is it unresponsive, it is alive with movement, vibration, and law. Every word carries its own frequency. Every declaration a signal that ripples through the invisible realms. When the word is spoken with hesitation, the ripple is weak, scattered, and uncertain. When the word is spoken with certainty, the ripple becomes a wave, steady and commanding, gathering power as it travels. The unseen responds not to the sound of the voice, but to the vibration behind the voice. Certainty is the key that unlocks the flow of energy, while doubt locks the gates. A person may repeat the same phrase again and again, but if it is spoken without conviction, it carries little weight. Another may speak only once, but with such assurance that the unseen immediately stirs. It is not the abundance of words that creates movement, but the authority contained within them. Words are like seeds. The soil of the universe does not yield to empty shells, but when the seed is alive, it sprouts and multiplies. The life within the word is certainty, the unwavering belief that what is spoken is already accomplished. Invisible forces are ever at work, awaiting direction. They are neutral, impartial, unceasing. They do not ask whether one is worthy or unworthy, deserving or undeserving. They only follow instruction. The tone of certainty is the signal they recognize, for it aligns with the eternal law of creation. The command, I am prospered now, spoken with unwavering conviction, sends these forces into motion. They begin to arrange circumstances, to shift opportunities, to open channels, until the visible world matches the invisible decree. A word of doubt halts them midway, a word of fear scatters them. But a word of certainty drives them forward until fulfillment is inevitable. This is why every thought and word must be guarded. Casual words spoken carelessly may carry hidden fear, and the unseen forces do not discriminate between what is spoken lightly and what is spoken with intent. They only mirror the vibration. To say repeatedly, I cannot afford this, is to instruct the unseen to maintain lack. To declare, all my needs are abundantly met, is to instruct the unseen to supply. Certainty amplifies the command, shaping energy into form with precision and speed. The certainty in words does not come from outer evidence, but from inner alignment. Outer evidence may still show lack, but certainty does not waver, for it knows that the outer must eventually bow to the inner decree. To wait for visible proof before speaking with confidence is to wait forever. The proof comes after the command, not before it. Certainty is the invisible evidence, the assurance that the word has already been heard and answered. Those who speak with this assurance move unseen forces without struggle, for the forces are compelled to obey the vibration of truth. When words are spoken with certainty, they leave a mark on the mind as well as on the universe. They begin to rewrite the inner image of the self, strengthening belief, dissolving fear, establishing authority. This inner change radiates outward, drawing corresponding conditions. People, opportunities, and resources appear as if by coincidence, but nothing is coincidence. It is the outworking of the unseen, guided by the command. Certainty imprints itself on the soul, and the soul in turn shapes the external world. Words of certainty are not loud, they may be whispered, but their effect is vast. The power is not in volume, but in vibration. A whisper of faith can shake mountains, while a shout of doubt moves nothing. Those who learn this secret waste no energy in trying to force or persuade. They speak once, with clarity and assurance, and allow the unseen to unfold the outcome. Their trust is complete, their certainty unshaken, and so the universe bends swiftly to their decree. The unseen forces that respond to certainty are limitless in scope. They are not bound by distance, time, or circumstance. A word spoken in one place can rearrange conditions in another. A word spoken today can prepare opportunities months ahead. Certainty carries a creative command that transcends boundaries. When one says, "I am divinely prospered now," unseen messengers move immediately, orchestrating events, arranging encounters, aligning details, until prosperity manifests in visible form. The person who doubts sees none of this activity and assumes nothing is happening. But the one who speaks with certainty knows the work is already underway, and their calm assurance keeps the forces in motion until completion. It is not unusual to hear people declare prosperity with their lips while holding fear in their hearts. Such words lack certainty and therefore lack power. The unseen listens to the heart, not merely the tongue. To speak with certainty is to unite word and belief, to bring inner conviction into harmony with outer expression. This unity generates irresistible force. Contradiction between heart and tongue weakens the command. Certainty is integrity between inner and outer, and integrity releases energy unhindered. Every great achievement has been preceded by words spoken with certainty. Inventors, creators, leaders, all who brought forth new realities began by declaring them possible, often in defiance of appearances. Their certainty set forces into motion that carried them beyond obstacles. What they spoke became substance because their conviction allowed no alternative. In the same way, every individual may command their own prosperity, health, and success by speaking with certainty. The forces that shape galaxies and sustain life are the same forces that answer to the confident word. Certainty is magnetic. It not only sets unseen forces into motion, but also draws others into its field. People sense it, often without knowing why. They feel drawn to one who speaks with conviction, trusting them, opening doors for them, offering opportunities. Money itself gravitates to certainty, for certainty is aligned with order, and money is substance seeking order. When the voice of authority speaks, everything in the universe conspires to answer. This is why one must practice certainty until it becomes natural. Repetition with belief deepens conviction, transforming the doubtful mind into a confident one. Each word spoken with certainty strengthens the pattern, until speaking with authority becomes as effortless as breathing. Then every word is alive, every declaration carries power, and unseen forces respond instantly. Words are no longer idle chatter, but instruments of creation, shaping reality with precision. To speak with certainty is to accept full responsibility for one's command. The universe takes words literally, without interpretation, and fulfills them accordingly. Certainty ensures that the words chosen are clear, aligned, and purposeful. Careless words scatter forces in conflicting directions, while certain words focus them like a beam of light. The more focused the command, the faster and fuller the response. The unseen is always listening. It does not rest, it does not pause, it does not hesitate. It waits for the voice of certainty to give it shape and direction. Every word spoken with authority becomes a blueprint. The unseen builds according to that blueprint with absolute precision. Certainty draws the blueprint in bold lines, leaving no room for error. Doubt sketches faintly, erasing itself with every hesitation. The stronger the certainty, the clearer the pattern, and the faster the unseen translates it into form. Money waits patiently for the individual's clarity and direction. It is never absent, never withholding, never resisting. It is like a faithful servant standing quietly at the door, waiting for the master's clear instruction. It does not intrude, it does not move on its own, it does not force its way into one's life. It abides by law, and the law requires clarity. Until the order is given with precision, money remains still, watching, listening, waiting for the unmistakable tone of certainty. Many believe money delays, that it is difficult or elusive, but in truth, money is always near, attentive, and ready. What creates the sense of delay is not money's reluctance, but the individual's confusion. One day they call it forth. The next day they repel it with words of doubt. 1 hour they declare abundance, the next they declare lack. The servant cannot act when the master sends conflicting signals. Clarity is the key that releases money from waiting into action. Direction gives it the path along which it flows. Without clarity, it waits. Without direction, it wanders unseen. Money does not respond to vague requests. To say, "I need more money," is to send a formless call into the universe. How much is more? When is more? For what purpose is more? The law of supply deals in precision, not vagueness. When one says, "I receive perfect provision for every obligation, every purpose, every desire," the command is clear. Money hears and moves accordingly. The clearer the declaration, the swifter the response. Like a ship awaiting orders at port, money will not sail until it knows its destination. Clarity sets the course, and direction raises the sails. This is why the inner state matters more than outer effort. 1,000 actions taken without clarity often yield little, while one word spoken with certainty and direction can open great doors. The world is filled with people working endlessly, yet struggling to see supply, because their inner command is scattered. Money waits for clarity, and until it comes, their labor is like rowing in circles. But the individual who pauses, aligns their thought, and speaks a precise command unleashes a force that accelerates every action. Then effort and supply move together in harmony, and money flows in the right direction. Patience is one of money's great qualities. It does not grow impatient when the individual hesitates, nor does it disappear in anger when called forth and dismissed again. It waits, silently and faithfully, until the moment clarity arises. Even if years pass, the instant the order is finally spoken with authority, money responds. It holds no grudges, it carries no resentment. Its nature is obedience, and it waits for the voice that knows its power. The moment that voice is heard, the waiting ends, and the servant moves with speed. Direction is as vital as clarity. To call money without giving it purpose is to leave it wandering. Money, like all energy, seeks order. When told where to go and what to do, it fulfills its task with precision. To say, "Money comes to me for the purpose of fulfilling every good work, every right desire, every true need," is to give it purpose. Without direction, money may appear and vanish just as quickly, for energy without order dissipates. With direction, it multiplies, circulates, and continues to serve. Those who complain of money slipping through their fingers often lack direction. They call it forth, but once it arrives, they have not told it where to go, what to build, or what to sustain. It flows out aimlessly, seeking a channel, and soon appears to be gone. But those who give money a purpose aligned with clarity see it remain, grow, and return. For money loves order, and when it is directed, it obeys in ways that astonish the mind. Clarity and direction are not born from anxiety, but from calm assurance. Anxiety creates confusion, scattering thought and weakening command. Clarity comes from stillness, from aligning with the inner knowing that supply is infinite. In that stillness, the right words arise, precise and filled with power. Direction emerges naturally, showing where the servant is to go. The individual who lives in this state finds that money no longer feels uncertain or unstable. It becomes a dependable presence, always waiting, always ready, always responsive. Money is patient because it is bound by eternal law. It knows no hurry, for it is infinite in essence. It cannot run out. It cannot vanish, it cannot exhaust itself. It simply waits for consciousness to align with it. This patience is not passivity, it is readiness. The moment clarity is achieved, its movement is swift, as though it had been preparing all along. The apparent delay was only the time needed for the individual to refine their direction. Once clarity is spoken, the waiting ends, and manifestation follows as naturally as dawn follows night. One of the greatest secrets is that money listens more closely to thought and belief than to action. A person may labor hard, yet if their thought is clouded with uncertainty, money waits. Another may labor less but speak with absolute clarity and direction, and money flows to them with ease. The outer world often misinterprets this as luck or advantage, but in truth it is law. The servant obeys the one who gives clear orders, not the one who shouts in confusion. Money is never far away. It surrounds every individual in unseen form, waiting for the command to take visible shape. It is in the air, in the flow of opportunity, in the substance of ideas, in the kindness of strangers, in the currents of commerce. Yet it waits silently, like water in a reservoir, until the gate is opened with clarity. The instant the gate is lifted, the flow begins. To say, money, you are directed to appear now in perfect ways to fulfill all that is required, is to open the gate wide. The water rushes forth, because it was waiting all along. The individual who understands this no longer fears lack, for they know money has not abandoned them. It is waiting, patiently and faithfully, for their clarity. Lack is but the shadow of unclear command. Supply is ever present, hidden behind the veil of indecision. The moment indecision lifts, the moment the word is spoken with precision, the shadow dissolves, and supply stands revealed. Money never delays. It only waits for direction. Prosperity flows through both expected and unexpected channels. Supply is never limited to one path, one person, one opportunity, or one means. The universe is a vast reservoir, and money is only one expression of its abundance. When one clings to a single source, believing prosperity can come only through that door, they close themselves off to the countless other doors that stand ready to open. But when one speaks the word with certainty and releases expectation of the how, the flow begins to move freely, appearing through channels both familiar and astonishing. Expected channels are those that seem natural and logical, the wages from a job, the profits from a business, the returns on an investment. These are recognized by the mind as ordinary routes of income. Yet even these channels are not fixed by chance but by law. They respond to the vibration of belief, expanding when the word of prosperity is spoken with faith, contracting when fear is entertained. The paycheck, the client, the sale, these are not masters but servants of the unseen law. They are visible streams flowing from the invisible ocean. To look at them as the source is error, for they are only outlets. The source is infinite, and the streams shift and multiply according to consciousness. Unexpected channels are those that bypass logic, arriving from directions unseen. They may come as gifts, as sudden opportunities, as inheritances, as chance encounters, as inspired ideas, as solutions that open new avenues of wealth. These are the surprises of abundance, the manifestations that prove the law is not confined to human reasoning. One may find money in places never considered, or be offered help from people barely known. A forgotten debt may be repaid, a lost sum rediscovered, a door long closed suddenly unlocked. These channels remind the individual that prosperity is not bound by limitation. The flow of prosperity moves like water, seeking every opening. If one channel closes, another opens, and another after that. To fear the closing of a single channel is to forget that the reservoir is inexhaustible. When a job ends, when a business slows, when an expected payment fails to arrive, it does not mean the flow has stopped. It means the law is redirecting, preparing new streams. The servant of supply is never idle, it constantly moves toward the one who commands with faith. To despair at the closing of a channel is to deny the greater openings being prepared. To trust is to remain calm, knowing the water of abundance cannot be dammed. Those who understand this law live without fear of loss. They know prosperity is not confined to one channel, and so they are open to the infinite ways it can appear. They do not cling anxiously to a paycheck or a single source of income, for they know it is but one of many streams. They release it with gratitude, confident that more is already flowing through other channels. Their openness creates magnetism, drawing unexpected supply with ease. The more they trust, the more doors open. The more they fear, the more doors close. Expected channels provide stability, but unexpected channels provide wonder. They demonstrate the richness of the law, the creativity of the unseen, the delight of surprise. They keep life from becoming mechanical, reminding the individual that the universe is filled with mystery and generosity. To limit prosperity to the expected is to live narrowly. To welcome the unexpected is to live expansively. The expected reassures the mind, the unexpected awakens the spirit. Both serve, both bless, both flow from the same source. Prosperity often chooses unexpected paths because the mind has built walls around the expected ones. The individual may believe that only a certain job, a certain client, or a certain market can provide supply. When that belief becomes too rigid, the law bypasses it, flowing through a new channel to break the limitation. The unexpected arrives to prove that abundance is greater than thought, wider than imagination, freer than calculation. It comes to stretch the vision, to show that no door is the only door. This is why it is dangerous to say, "I do not know how money could come." The how is not the individual's concern. The how belongs to the law. The individual's work is only to speak the word of command, to hold faith without wavering, and to remain open to receive. The law then determines the channels, selecting the swiftest, surest, and most perfect ways. Sometimes these ways align with expectation. Sometimes they surprise. But always they are right, always they are timely, always they fulfill the command. Prosperity flowing through unexpected channels often appears miraculous. But it is not miracle, it is law. The surprise lies only in the mind that expected a narrower path. The law itself is precise, constant, and impartial. It delivers according to command, regardless of appearances. If the mind believed there was only one way, the law reveals many. If the mind believed supply was scarce, the law reveals abundance. Each unexpected channel is a demonstration of the infinite resourcefulness of the unseen. The wise individual welcomes both the expected and the unexpected, holding no attachment to either. They see every channel as a temporary expression, useful for a time, but never the source itself. They give thanks for what arrives through known means, but they do not confine their expectation there. They remain open to the stranger, the coincidence, the surprise, the inspiration, the gift. Their openness invites more, and the law delights in filling it. Prosperity that flows through both expected and unexpected channels also teaches detachment. It shows that no employer, no client, no investment is the true provider. These are instruments only. Instruments that may change but never exhaust the flow. Detachment frees the individual from fear, for they know they are not bound to one source. They are bound only to the law, and the law is bound only to their command. Thus they live in freedom, unshaken by change, serene in trust. The individual who begs or fears clings tightly to one channel, grasping it desperately as though it were life itself. This desperation repels the flow, for it signals mistrust in the infinite. The one who commands with certainty lets go, trusting the stream to widen and multiply. Their confidence creates movement, and money flows to them in ways both seen and unseen. They live in a state of surprise and gratitude, never knowing exactly how the supply will appear, but always knowing it will. The law of supply is precise, unerring, and always answers the command. It does not fail, it does not forget, it does not turn aside in negligence. It moves with exactness, responding to every thought, every word, every belief with mathematical certainty. The universe is not governed by chance or whim, it is governed by law. Just as the sun rises without fail, just as the seasons follow one another in perfect order, the law of supply operates with unwavering accuracy. When one understands this truth, fear dissolves, for fear is born of the belief that the law may falter. But the law cannot falter. It is steady, impartial, and constant, giving to each according to the decree of their consciousness. When one speaks in faith, the law answers with abundance. When one speaks in fear, the law answers with lack. The law does not discriminate between the two, it simply reflects the vibration of the command. This is why careless words are dangerous, for every word carries creative power. To say repeatedly, "I am always short of money," is to command shortage, and the law responds faithfully with shortage. To say, "Money flows to me freely and abundantly," is to command supply, and the law responds faithfully with supply. The law cannot say, "No." It has no choice but to fulfill the word spoken with conviction, for that is its nature. Precision is the very character of the law. A seed planted in the earth produces according to its kind without deviation. Wheat brings wheat, corn brings corn, roses bring roses. Never does wheat produce thorns, nor does corn produce stones. The law of supply is no less precise. If one plants words of lack, lack will appear. If one plants words of abundance, abundance will appear. The harvest is exact, never mistaken, never confused. The outer world is nothing but the precise reflection of inner command. This precision is both a warning and a blessing. It warns against idle words, careless complaints, fearful declarations. For the law takes every word as instruction, and even what is spoken lightly is recorded in vibration. It blesses the one who speaks with faith, for their words cannot return void. They must accomplish what they are sent forth to do. When certainty fills the word, the law hastens to bring it into visible form. This is why some speak only once and see their decree fulfilled, while others plead endlessly and see nothing. The difference is not in the law but in the precision of the command. The unerring nature of the law means that no effort is lost. Every word spoken, every belief held, every thought entertained plants its seed. If the harvest is delayed, it is not because the law has forgotten, but because the soil is waiting for clarity. The moment clarity is achieved, the moment the word is firm and unwavering, the seed takes root and growth begins. Nothing is wasted, nothing is overlooked. The law gathers every command and responds exactly in kind. To believe the law may ignore one's word is to misunderstand its impartiality. It is no respecter of persons. It does not favor the rich over the poor, the educated over the uneducated, the powerful over the powerless. It responds to all alike, measuring only the certainty of the command. The law cannot be bribed, persuaded, or tricked. It cannot be deceived by outer appearance, nor influenced by sentiment. It answers only to vibration, and vibration never lies. What is spoken with belief is answered. What is spoken with doubt is answered. What is spoken with fear is answered. The answer always matches the command. Those who complain that the law does not work for them fail to see that it has been working all along. Their very complaint is a command, and the law is fulfilling it. Their doubts, their fears, their endless declarations of lack are being mirrored with precision. The law has not failed, it has succeeded in obeying their unconscious commands. When they change the command, the law will change the result. The responsibility is always within, never without. The precision of the law gives security. For one need not wonder if the word will be heard. It is always heard, always answered. The only question is whether the word spoken is clear, certain, and aligned with faith. Once it is, the law's fulfillment is inevitable. No force on earth can stop it, for nothing is stronger than law. Circumstances may appear contrary, but appearances are temporary. They shift and dissolve under the steady hand of law, which continues its work until the command is manifest. The law is unerring, and this is why delay is not denial. Delay only means that conflicting commands have slowed the process. One may speak abundance in the morning and lack in the evening, prosperity one day and fear the next. The law is unerring, so it answers both commands, and the result is delay, confusion, or half manifestations. But when the command is consistent, unbroken by doubt, the law moves swiftly. Its unerring accuracy brings fulfillment without deviation. This constancy is why one must guard the mind as carefully as the lips. Silent thoughts are also commands, and the law does not distinguish between spoken words and inner declarations. The thought, "I cannot," carries as much weight as the spoken phrase. The inner image of lack is answered as surely as the spoken declaration of wealth. To master supply, one must master thought, word, and image, bringing them into alignment. Then the law responds without hesitation, for it has received a clear and consistent command. The law is exact, yet it is also infinite. It can fulfill in ways beyond human calculation, using channels unseen, methods unimagined, opportunities unplanned. But no matter how surprising the manifestation, it will always match the vibration of the command. If one speaks abundance with joy, the result will carry joy. If one speaks abundance with fear, the result may come through struggle. The law matches not only the form but the tone. It reflects not only the words but the spirit behind them. This is why joy, gratitude, and assurance accelerate manifestation, while worry and anxiety slow it. The law does not punish or reward, it mirrors. The unerring nature of the law also explains why words spoken in jest or habit still carry weight. To say lightly, "I am always broke," may feel harmless, but the law records it as a command. The seed is planted, and the harvest must follow. Many live in cycles of lack not because they consciously desire it, but because they unconsciously affirm it. Their casual speech becomes a decree, and the law, being faithful, fulfills it. To change the harvest, they must change the seed, speaking with clarity, precision, and faith. Every great fortune begins not with money, but with a thought, a seed sown in the fertile soil of the imagination. The invisible always precedes the visible. What you see in your outer world is but a reflection of the rich or barren garden within. If you wish to become rich in 2026, you must first learn to think richly, to speak richly, and to expect richly. For no man or woman can draw to themselves what they secretly deny in heart or in word. The law of prosperity is not a trick of fate. It is a law as certain as gravity. There are those who believe that riches are a matter of chance, of inheritance, or of favor. But life is not a gamble, it is a mirror, returning to each one the exact measure of their belief. When you say, "I can't afford it," you are closing the door to abundance. When you say, "Money comes to me in perfect ways," you are flinging that same door wide open. The universe hears every word, and like an obedient servant, it sets out to fulfill it. Your spoken word is your wand, and your faith is the magic that brings it to life. The world of 2026 waits like a blank canvas, ready to be painted with the colors of your conviction. The old order of fear, scarcity, and doubt has no power unless you give it power. The truly rich man does not chase wealth, he magnetizes it. He knows that every opportunity, every idea, every divine hunch is a golden thread leading him toward greater supply. He does not say, "I am poor," for that is to command poverty to remain. He says instead, "I am open to receive the lavish abundance of the universe." To become rich, you must cleanse your mind of resentment, for resentment blocks the flow of prosperity. You cannot attract what you criticize. If you envy the wealth of another, you are declaring that you yourself cannot have it. But when you bless the success of others, you draw success nearer to yourself. Every time you give thanks, you multiply your good. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the treasure chest of heaven. You are not a beggar in a world of limited supply. You are a child of an infinite source, heir to all that is good, beautiful, and bountiful. The riches you seek are already yours in the unseen realm, awaiting your recognition. The moment you claim your good and act as though it were already here, the law begins to move. Doors open, ideas flow, people appear, and what seemed impossible becomes natural. The substance of money is spiritual, and it takes shape according to your word. Therefore, speak with authority, think with confidence, and walk with the quiet assurance that all you need is being added unto you now. To think richly is to dwell in the consciousness of abundance, to hold within the mind a vision so luminous and steadfast that it draws to itself the forms and opportunities of wealth. The mind is the workshop of creation, the silent architect shaping the visible world. Every structure of success or failure begins there, in the inner kingdom of thought. When one learns to think richly, one learns to govern life rather than to be governed by it. Poverty, struggle, and limitation are not conditions, but mental habits that have been rehearsed until they seem real. To reverse them, one must begin by changing the inner picture, for the universe reflects faithfully what the mind impresses upon it. Thinking richly does not mean merely wishing for more money. It is not the anxious repetition of desire, but the calm recognition that all good is already present in invisible form. The rich thinker knows that abundance is not something to chase, but something to accept. He aligns his thought with divine supply, knowing that the same intelligence that formed the stars also moves through his affairs. When thought becomes attuned to this infinite source, circumstances rearrange themselves to mirror that harmony. Money, ideas, people, and timing begin to flow in perfect sequence, as though guided by an unseen hand. Many people think in terms of lack without realizing it. They say, "I don't have enough," "it's too hard," or "maybe someday." Each of these thoughts plants a seed of limitation. The soil of the subconscious never judges. It simply grows whatever is sown. If the seed is lack, the harvest will be lack. To think richly, one must consciously plant different seeds. Thoughts such as, "I always have what I need," "I live in a universe of infinite supply," or "divine ideas prosper me now," create a vibration that draws corresponding results. The mind must be trained to dwell on plenty, to picture success, to speak words of confidence even when appearances suggest otherwise. A rich thinker understands that the invisible precedes the visible. Just as a gardener prepares the soil before the harvest, so must one prepare the mind before wealth can appear. There is no outer prosperity that can endure unless it rests on the inner foundation of faith. When a person worries about bills, debt, or scarcity, they are watering weeds instead of flowers. But when they give thanks for the abundance already flowing, even in small measure, they multiply their good. Gratitude is the fertilizer of prosperity. It transforms ordinary thought into magnetic power. To think richly is also to detach from fear. Fear is the great thief of fortune, the shadow that dims the light of possibility. A fearful mind sees obstacles, a rich mind sees opportunities. When one believes that the universe is abundant, every seeming obstacle becomes a stepping stone to greater supply. The rich thinker refuses to entertain the idea of failure, knowing that even setbacks are part of the divine design leading to success. He trusts the timing of events, understanding that impatience blocks the flow, while confidence keeps it moving. The thought of richness must become natural, habitual, unquestioned. It must be carried through the day like a melody that plays quietly beneath every activity. When you walk, think richly. When you speak, speak richly. When you plan, plan richly. The tone of your thoughts becomes the tone of your life. Just as a magnet draws iron filings, a rich consciousness draws wealth. This is not superstition, but the operation of spiritual law. The law is impartial. It gives to each according to his belief. The one who thinks in scarcity will always find proof of scarcity, while the one who thinks in abundance will always find proof of abundance. To cultivate rich thinking, one must purify the mind from envy and comparison. When you compare your life to others, you affirm lack within yourself. The rich thinker blesses the prosperity of others, knowing that it affirms his own. He does not compete, he creates. He does not grasp, he allows. He knows that his supply comes not from people, jobs, or markets, but from the infinite source that operates through all these channels. When one stops clinging to outer forms, the inner flow becomes unblocked, and prosperity finds new ways to appear. Thinking richly also requires discipline of speech. Every word carries vibration. When you say, "I can't," you shut a door. When you say, "I can and I will," you open 1,000. The rich thinker chooses words carefully, for he knows that speech crystallizes thought. He never speaks defeat or poverty into existence. Instead, he speaks affirmations of success, even when conditions seem barren. His words are creative commands to the universe. They go forth and shape reality. The power of the spoken word, united with the conviction of the heart, produces results that no mere effort could achieve. A mind trained in richness is never disturbed by appearances. If business is slow, he affirms divine activity working behind the scenes. If money seems delayed, he knows that divine timing is perfect. He does not allow outer conditions to dictate his inner state. He keeps his thoughts steady, his faith unshaken, and his imagination radiant with images of good. This steadiness of mind is what opens the way for miracles to occur, for when thought is steady, the law can operate without interference. Rich thinking is not arrogance or self-deception. It is the humble acknowledgement of divine abundance as one's rightful inheritance. It is seeing oneself as a co-creator with the infinite, not a victim of circumstance. The rich thinker expects good because he knows that the universe is orderly and just. He does not plead or beg for blessings, he claims them. He does not strive in tension, he receives in faith. His mind is a clear channel through which prosperity flows freely. To think richly is to live richly, not merely in possessions but in peace, confidence, and joy. It is to feel inwardly supported by the unseen current of supply that never fails. It is to know that every good thing you desire already exists in substance and awaits your recognition. The moment you think richly and persist in that thought, you begin to build the invisible structure of your future. Your ideas become living seeds, your emotions the sunlight, your faith the rain. In due time the harvest comes, abundant and overflowing, because the law has no choice but to bring forth according to the pattern impressed upon it. Thus the mind that thinks richly becomes a magnet for opportunities, for people who uplift, for circumstances that align perfectly with its vision. It ceases to struggle and begins to flow. It ceases to doubt and begins to know. The power of rich thought transforms limitation into possibility, delay into preparation, and lack into abundance. To think richly is to remember one's divine nature, a creator, not a creature of chance, and to stand calmly in the assurance that what is held firmly in thought must eventually take form in the world of matter. Your words create your wealth, for every word you speak sets a vibration into motion that echoes through the unseen and shapes the visible. The universe is obedient to sound, to the tone of belief carried upon the breath. What you speak, you decree. What you decree, you create. Each word is a seed, and the soil is the infinite intelligence that never questions, only fulfills. Many people speak carelessly, unaware that their idle chatter forms the blueprint of their lives. They talk of lack, of struggle, of limitation, and wonder why their affairs mirror these conditions. Yet, the law is exact. Words of fear draw fearful experiences. Words of confidence summon opportunity. To change your world, you must change your speech, for your speech is the bridge between thought and manifestation. When one speaks, the vibration of sound carries energy into the field of form. Words are not merely symbols, but living forces. Every affirmation of good strengthens your alignment with abundance, while every complaint weakens it. The tongue can be an instrument of creation or destruction. The wise use it as a wand of power. They understand that prosperity begins with the language of prosperity. The one who continually says, "I can't afford it," is binding himself to that truth, while the one who declares, "Money comes to me easily and frequently," is opening channels unseen. The universe listens without judgment and says, "It is done unto you as you believe." Your words reveal your faith or your fear. They are the outward expression of your inner conviction. To say, "I am blessed," even when appearances suggest otherwise, is to call forth blessings from the invisible. To say, "I am struggling," even in jest, is to command struggle to persist. The law does not distinguish between serious speech and idle talk. Every word counts. The rich in spirit are careful stewards of their language. They speak only of what they wish to increase. They never magnify the problem. They magnify the solution. They do not describe what is, they declare what shall be. For the moment you name a condition, you give it life. The moment you deny its power, you begin to dissolve it. When you understand that your words are creative, you become deliberate in your conversation. You cease to discuss failure or lack. You no longer complain of what others have done or failed to do. You speak life, you speak good, you speak increase. Every statement becomes a prayer, and every prayer a command. If you wish to be rich, your speech must align with riches. You cannot use the vocabulary of poverty and expect the results of prosperity. Words are containers for energy, and energy obeys the tone in which it is sent. Speak of abundance with the feeling of certainty, and the invisible forces of the universe will conspire to match your tone. There is a sacred rhythm to words spoken with conviction. They move through time and space like arrows, seeking the mark of their intention. When a person declares, "Everything I touch prospers," that vibration carries forth to touch every transaction, every idea, every encounter. The declaration precedes the demonstration. The spoken word sets the spiritual mechanism into motion. It is not magic but law. As sure as an echo returns to the voice that sent it, your words return to you in the form of your experiences. The outer world is merely a reflection of your inner conversation. Change your language, and the reflection changes. Your words are the guardians of your faith. If you speak in contradiction to your desire, you weaken your magnetism. To say, "I want wealth," but then follow with "it's so hard to make money," is to cancel your command. The law of mind does not work through confusion. It works through clarity and certainty. Therefore, let your word be consistent. Let it be strong, unwavering, and rooted in the knowing that all good already exists. When you speak with authority, not arrogance but assurance, you impress upon the subconscious mind a pattern that the universe rushes to fulfill. The subconscious does not argue. It obeys the tone of feeling behind the word. The secret is to feel the truth of your words as you speak them. Empty affirmations carry no power, but words infused with emotion ignite creation. When you say, "I am prosperous," feel the joy of prosperity as though it were already yours. When you say, "Everything I desire flows to me in divine order," imagine the smooth unfolding of events aligning in your favor. The feeling gives the word life. Without feeling, words are but dry echoes. With feeling, they become living commands. The universe responds to vibration, not to empty sound. To create wealth through your words, you must also learn the silence between them. Silence is the womb where spoken words are gestated. After you speak your affirmations, rest in quiet expectancy. Do not contradict your declaration with doubt or complaint. The word once spoken continues to work in the unseen, gathering substance, arranging circumstances, and preparing the visible result. The gardener does not dig up the seed to see if it is growing. He trusts the process. So too must you trust your word. Once spoken with conviction, it begins its perfect work. Many people misuse their speech by repeating stories of limitation. They talk endlessly about debts, the high cost of living, or the difficulty of success. In doing so, they renew the pattern of lack day after day. Yet a single statement of truth, held steadily, can dissolve years of error. To say, "I live in a universe of limitless supply," with unwavering belief, is to erase the imprint of fear from the subconscious mind. Words of truth, repeated with faith, become spiritual fire that burns away old conditions. They elevate consciousness, and the elevated consciousness attracts new experiences. You must guard your conversation as carefully as you would guard a treasure chest. Do not lend your words to gossip, complaint, or criticism. Such speech drains the power that could otherwise be used for creation. Speak only of the good you wish to see, for whatever you speak of, you invite. Bless your affairs, bless your work, bless your finances, bless every person who crosses your path. Words of blessing multiply, words of bitterness multiply struggle. The energy you send out returns amplified. Therefore, let your speech be a stream of life-giving power, uplifting and renewing everything it touches. To speak richly is to live richly. It is to choose words that affirm beauty, order, and abundance. When faced with adversity, the rich thinker does not speak defeat, he declares victory. When confronted with delay, he says, "Divine timing is perfect." When something appears lost, he says, "Nothing good can be taken from me, it returns in better form." These words become shields against fear and magnets for supply. The consistent use of constructive language reshapes consciousness until wealth becomes a natural expression of being. Every fortune begins with a declaration. Somewhere, someone said, "I can do this. I will prosper," or "this idea will succeed." The word was spoken and the word created. The same power dwells in every individual. You do not need to strive for it or earn it. You need only to use it rightly. Your tongue is your instrument of creation. Use it with awareness. Speak as though your words are living things, for indeed they are. Each one carries the essence of your belief and returns to you clothed in form. To master your speech is to master your destiny. Gratitude multiplies abundance because it aligns the mind with the infinite source from which all good flows. It is the quiet recognition that everything you have, everything you are, and everything yet to come is part of a divine order that never fails. When gratitude becomes the natural language of your heart, prosperity becomes inevitable. It is not merely a polite response to blessings received, but a spiritual vibration that draws more good into being. Gratitude opens the invisible doors through which abundance enters, for no blessing can flow into a closed or complaining heart. When you give thanks, you declare to the universe, "I have received," and the law responds by sending more to match that vibration of fullness. A grateful mind is a magnet for miracles. It sees opportunity where others see lack, beauty where others see plainness, and progress where others see delay. Gratitude sharpens perception. It reveals the hidden good that waits behind every circumstance. The ungrateful mind lives in shadow, blind to the richness surrounding it. It complains, it resists, it expects little and receives accordingly. But the one who gives thanks in advance for unseen blessings calls them forth from the invisible realm. Gratitude is faith made visible through emotion. It is the heart's affirmation that good is already on its way, even before the evidence appears. When you wake in the morning and give thanks for life, for breath, for opportunity, you align yourself with divine law. You begin your day not as a beggar seeking favor, but as an heir acknowledging inheritance. Every thought of appreciation sends a signal to the universe. This soul knows its wealth. The law of increase immediately responds, for the universe cannot resist a thankful heart. Gratitude is not passive, it is creative. It multiplies whatever it touches. If you give thanks for money, your money increases. If you give thanks for friendship, your friendships deepen. If you give thanks for ideas, inspiration flows more freely. The energy of gratitude expands the object of its focus, just as sunlight causes flowers to bloom. Those who lack gratitude often believe they have little to be thankful for, yet their very belief keeps them in limitation. Gratitude must come before abundance, not after. To say, "I will be thankful when I am rich," is to postpone wealth indefinitely. The rich in spirit say instead, "I am thankful now for the abundance that already surrounds me." They give thanks for the small coin as for the great fortune, for they know the essence is the same. A thankful thought is a seed of prosperity. Each time it is planted, it grows in silence, expanding its roots through the soil of faith until it breaks forth as visible supply. True gratitude has nothing to do with circumstances. It does not depend upon possessions or outward success. It is the recognition of the divine good at work even in the midst of trial. When challenges arise, the grateful soul says, "There is good in this, though I do not yet see it." That attitude turns obstacles into stepping stones, delays into preparation, losses into greater gain. Gratitude transforms perception, and perception shapes reality. To the grateful heart, nothing is wasted, nothing is lost, nothing is meaningless. Everything becomes part of the unfolding abundance that life continually offers. Gratitude is a powerful cleanser of the mind. It dissolves resentment, envy, and fear, all the emotions that block prosperity. You cannot feel thankful and fearful at the same time. You cannot bless and curse in the same breath. When you give thanks, your attention moves from what is missing to what is present, and that shift opens the channel of supply. Many wonder why their affirmations fail, yet their hearts are filled with complaint. The law of abundance cannot work through ingratitude. It is like trying to draw fresh water through a clogged pipe. Gratitude clears the obstruction and allows the current of good to flow freely once more. To cultivate gratitude, begin with what lies nearest. Give thanks for your home, no matter how small. Give thanks for the food before you, for the air that fills your lungs, for the sunlight that warms your face. As you give thanks for what you have, you awaken to the richness already in your possession. Gratitude is not about accumulation, but awareness. The more aware you become of the goods surrounding you, the more you attract similar good. Life mirrors your inner state. A thankful mind sees increase in every direction. An ungrateful mind sees only deficiency. Gratitude is also a form of trust. When you give thanks for what has not yet appeared, you demonstrate faith in divine order. You affirm that unseen forces are already working for your good. That trust magnetizes results. The grateful heart does not chase after supply, it rests in assurance that supply is already on its way. Every expression of thanks strengthens this confidence until worry and doubt dissolve. Gratitude, then, becomes a shield against fear. It anchors you in peace, for it reminds you that you are never without support, never without provision, never without the love of the universe flowing through every detail of your life. When you speak words of gratitude, speak them with feeling. Let your words vibrate with genuine appreciation, not mere recitation. Say, "Thank you for this day," with the warmth of one who truly means it. Say, "I am grateful for the money that flows to me," as if you could already feel its presence in your hands. The emotion behind gratitude gives it life. Empty words carry little power, but heartfelt thanks open unseen gates. The energy of sincerity travels outward and draws back multiplied blessings. The universe listens to the tone of the heart more than the form of the words. A grateful attitude also harmonizes relationships. When you express appreciation for others, you amplify the good within them. Gratitude heals misunderstandings and strengthens bonds. To be thankful for the people around you is to recognize the divine in them, and that recognition calls forth their higher nature. In the same way, to give thanks for your work, no matter how humble, invites greater opportunity. The thankful worker attracts promotion, for his spirit radiates competence and joy. Employers, clients, and partners feel this unseen magnetism and respond to it naturally. Gratitude silently communicates success long before it is visible. The habit of gratitude should be constant, not occasional. It is not something to practice only when things go well, but a way of thinking that sustains you through all seasons. Every breath can become a prayer of thanks. Every challenge can become a reason to trust more deeply. The mind that lives in gratitude is never impoverished, for it draws beauty and meaning from everything. To walk through the world giving thanks is to walk in harmony with the creative power that made it. It is to see life not as a struggle for survival, but as a ceaseless outpouring of generosity from an infinite source. Gratitude multiplies abundance because it keeps attention on the truth of sufficiency rather than the illusion of lack. It teaches the mind to expect good instead of fearing loss. The thankful person lives in the vibration of having, not wanting. That vibration attracts more of the same. The universe, ever responsive, fills the vessel that is open and appreciative. When the heart is full of thanks, it cannot remain empty of blessings. Gratitude is the language of wealth, spoken fluently by all who prosper in spirit and in substance. Release resentment to free prosperity, for resentment is the invisible chain that binds the soul to limitation. It is the silent poison that corrodes peace, clouds vision, and blocks the natural flow of abundance. Prosperity is not merely a matter of effort or opportunity. It is the result of inner harmony. When the heart is burdened with bitterness or unforgiveness, it cannot act as a clear channel for divine supply. The energy that could draw wealth and success is trapped in the vibration of resistance. To release resentment is to clear the path through which good can flow freely once again. Resentment is born from the false belief that someone has taken from you something that was rightfully yours. Yet, in truth, nothing good can ever be taken from you. and nothing that belongs to you by divine right can ever be lost. Every experience, even those that seem unjust, carries within it a hidden blessing, a lesson that refines the soul and deepens understanding. When you hold on to anger or grievance, you anchor yourself to the past and block the present good that seeks to reach you. The universe cannot deliver new gifts into hands that are tightly clenched around old wounds. To release resentment does not mean to condone wrong or pretend harm did not occur. It means to withdraw your energy from the memory of injury and to reclaim your power from the past. It means to stop rehearsing the pain, to stop speaking of it, to stop identifying with it as part of your story. When you release resentment, you break the magnetic tie between yourself and the very conditions you dislike. Whatever you resent, you hold in your consciousness, and whatever you hold in consciousness, you continue to attract. The act of forgiveness, therefore, is not for the other's benefit, but for your own liberation. It is the gateway through which prosperity enters. A mind filled with resentment is like a garden, overrun with weeds. The soil is fertile, but the energy of growth is consumed by that which bears no fruit. No amount of effort or positive thinking can bring lasting results until the weeds are cleared. The law of abundance operates through mental clarity and emotional balance. When you forgive, you restore both. You free your attention to dwell on constructive ideas. You make room for inspiration, opportunity, and divine guidance to reach you. Forgiveness is the spiritual act of decluttering the heart. Once the clutter is gone, the light of prosperity can shine unobstructed. Many people resist forgiveness because they believe it makes them weak. Yet forgiveness is the highest expression of strength. It is the courage to choose peace over pride, freedom over bondage. Resentment drains vitality. It keeps the mind replaying the same scene until energy is depleted. Forgiveness restores that energy. It lifts the vibration, renews confidence, and opens the channels of intuition. When you forgive, you step into alignment with the creative forces of the universe. The law of attraction begins to respond instantly, bringing experiences that mirror the new state of freedom. Resentment not only affects emotions, but also influences material conditions. It can block business success, delay payments, or create misunderstanding in partnerships. The energy of anger, whether hidden or expressed, sends out discordant vibrations that interfere with prosperity. The moment you release resentment, harmony begins to return. The right people appear, the right opportunities unfold, the flow of money resumes. The outer world rearranges itself to match the inner healing. This is not coincidence, it is law. Every act of forgiveness clears a space for new abundance to enter. If you wish to free prosperity in your life, examine your thoughts for any trace of bitterness, perhaps toward a friend, an employer, a family member, or even yourself. Self-resentment is as destructive as resentment toward others. Many people unconsciously punish themselves for past mistakes, denying themselves joy and success as if suffering were atonement. But divine law does not demand punishment. It offers correction. To forgive yourself is to accept that growth is the purpose of experience. You acted with the understanding you had at the time. Now, with greater awareness, you choose differently. This choice releases the burden and restores your creative power. The practice of forgiveness must be intentional and consistent. Begin by affirming, I freely forgive everyone and everything that has ever hurt or disappointed me. I release the past and open the way for divine abundance to flow. Say it not once, but often, until the words sink beneath the surface of resistance and soften the hardened places within. Visualize the person or situation that troubles you and see it surrounded by light. Imagine that light dissolving all cords of resentment, all feelings of injustice or anger. Breathe deeply and feel the relief that comes when the heart lets go. In that release, you make room for miracles. It is also helpful to bless the one you forgive. Blessing transforms energy instantly. When you say, I bless and release you, you affirm that both you and the other are free to move forward in peace. The act of blessing lifts the entire situation out of the realm of conflict and into divine order. You no longer vibrate at the frequency of the problem, you rise to the level where solutions appear naturally. Every blessing spoken in sincerity multiplies good for both giver and receiver. It creates a current of harmony that carries prosperity on its tide. Resentment is the opposite of gratitude. Where gratitude multiplies abundance, resentment divides it. Gratitude says, "Life is generous," while resentment says, "Life has cheated me." The universe mirrors whichever belief you hold. When you release resentment, you restore the grateful state, and abundance begins to multiply once again. The two emotions cannot coexist. To dwell on gratitude is to dissolve resentment automatically. Whenever anger arises, turn immediately to gratitude. Say, "I am thankful that this experience is teaching me something valuable." That single thought shifts energy from contraction to expansion. Releasing resentment also restores clarity of mind. Bitterness clouds perception. It keeps you focused on limitation rather than possibility. When the fog of anger lifts, inspiration flows again. You begin to see new paths, new ideas, new connections that were hidden while the heart was heavy. The creative intelligence within you becomes active, guiding you to actions that produce tangible results. Forgiveness clears the lens through which you view the world, and as the view changes, so does the world itself. To live without resentment is to live lightly. It is to move through life unburdened by the weight of old emotions. It is to wake each morning free to create anew, unchained from yesterday's injuries. This lightness naturally attracts prosperity, because prosperity is a high vibration, and like attracts like. The universe responds not to your words alone, but to your emotional state. A forgiving heart vibrates at the frequency of abundance. It radiates openness, peace, and trust, the very qualities that draw success, opportunity, and wealth. Forgiveness is not a single act, but a way of being. It is a continual releasing, a daily choice to let go of whatever disturbs your peace. Each time you forgive, you reclaim a piece of your energy, and with each reclamation, your creative power grows stronger. Prosperity is the outward reflection of that inner power. The freer you become from resentment, the more freely wealth can circulate through your life. Every grudge dropped, every hurt released, becomes a stepping stone toward greater good. When you forgive, you align with divine justice rather than human revenge. You trust that the law of balance will restore harmony in perfect ways, without your interference. This trust allows you to focus on creation rather than correction, on building rather than blaming. The moment you surrender the need to judge or retaliate, you open the way for divine compensation, often greater than anything you imagine. The universe never leaves a void. Whatever is released in forgiveness is replaced by something richer, higher, and more beautiful. Thus, to release resentment is to unlock the treasury of life. It is to move from the vibration of conflict to the vibration of harmony, from constriction to flow. Prosperity cannot dwell where anger resides, but it rushes eagerly to the heart that forgives. When you let go of resentment, you open your hands to receive. When you bless those who wronged you, you bless yourself. When you choose peace over grievance, you set wealth free to find you through channels expected and unexpected. Faith, not fear, unlocks divine supply, for faith is the invisible bridge between desire and manifestation, while fear is the shadow that blocks the path. Every thought you hold is either a prayer of faith or a declaration of fear, and the universe responds accordingly. Faith is the knowing beyond reason, the quiet certainty that what you seek already exists in the unseen, waiting for your recognition. Fear is the denial of that truth, the illusion that you are separate from your source. When faith rules the mind, circumstances rearrange in perfect order. When fear dominates, the flow of abundance is interrupted, for fear contracts what faith expands. Faith is not blind hope, it is spiritual understanding. It is the deep awareness that divine law is always at work, even when appearances contradict it. Faith does not waver at delays or setbacks, because it knows that delay is not denial but preparation. It does not measure good by what the eyes see or the hands hold. It rests in the assurance that supply is infinite, that every need is met through divine intelligence acting in perfect timing. Fear, on the other hand, thrives on appearances. It whispers of loss, scarcity, and uncertainty. It feeds upon doubt and multiplies it until the mind is paralyzed. The moment you allow fear to take root, you begin to attract the very conditions you dread. Faith operates through vibration, and its vibration is high, pure, and magnetic. When you are in faith, your thoughts, emotions, and words align with abundance. You think clearly, act decisively, and attract opportunities effortlessly. Fear lowers the vibration. It clouds judgment and distorts perception. A fearful mind cannot hear divine guidance, for fear is noise that drowns out intuition. The universe speaks softly through faith, guiding with subtle impressions, inspired ideas, and synchronicities. When you trust, you are in harmony with that voice. When you fear, you block it. Faith opens the channel, fear closes it. To live by faith is to step beyond appearances. You may look around and see lack, yet faith says, "There is supply here I have not yet recognized." You may face difficulty, yet faith whispers, "This too is part of the unfolding good." Faith transforms obstacles into opportunities because it looks beyond the visible to the spiritual cause behind all things. Fear magnifies the obstacle, making it seem insurmountable. Faith dissolves it by withdrawing belief from limitation. Whatever you cease to believe in loses power over you. Whatever you affirm in faith begins to take form. Every act of creation begins in faith. The inventor, the artist, the entrepreneur, all must first believe in what is unseen. The seed of the idea must be held firmly in imagination before it can manifest in the physical world. The same law applies to wealth. You must first see yourself as abundant, worthy, and capable before abundance can appear. Faith builds that inner image and sustains it through periods when outer results have not yet caught up. Fear destroys the image by constant doubt. The one who maintains faith, even in silence, commands the invisible forces of prosperity to continue their perfect work. Faith is strengthened through practice. It grows with use, just as muscles grow through exercise. Every time you choose faith over fear, you deepen your connection to divine supply. Start with small acts of trust. Believe that what you need today will come easily, that the right person will appear, that the perfect opportunity will reveal itself. As these small evidences accumulate, confidence expands. Soon faith becomes your natural state and fear finds no foothold. Fear cannot survive in the atmosphere of continual gratitude and trust. The language of faith is affirmation. The language of fear is complaint. When you speak words of confidence, you give life to your desire. When you speak words of worry, you give life to your limitation. Faith says, "Everything I need is on its way." Fear says, "What if it never comes?" Faith opens the door, fear bolts it shut. The wise choose their words carefully, knowing that each one is a seed. Speak from faith even when appearances tempt you to speak from fear. Say, "I am supplied, I am guided, I am prospered," until these truths take root in the subconscious mind. Faith also requires surrender. It is the willingness to release control and trust that divine intelligence knows the way better than the limited human mind. Fear clings, grasps, and forces outcomes. Faith lets go and allows. When you surrender fear, you stop obstructing the flow. The current of divine supply can then carry you smoothly toward fulfillment. The river does not need to push itself forward, it flows naturally. So too does prosperity when you trust. Fear makes the river stagnant by damming it with doubt. Faith removes the barrier and lets life flow. Faith lives in the present moment, while fear lives in the past and future. Fear replays old failures and imagines future losses, draining energy from the now, the only point of creation. Faith anchors you in the eternal present, where divine power is active. When you say, "I trust that my needs are met now," you align with that power. When you say, "I hope things will improve someday," you postpone your good. Faith claims it's good now, fear waits and worries. The difference between the two is not circumstance but consciousness. Faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. The mind must choose which to serve. If you feed fear with attention, it grows strong. If you feed faith with affirmation, gratitude, and quiet reflection, it becomes the dominant force. Train your mind to shift focus the moment fear arises. Replace every fearful thought with a statement of truth. There is only abundance. I am supported by divine order. All is well. Each substitution weakens fear's hold. Over time, faith becomes automatic, a steady inner knowing that no appearance can shake. Faith is creative because it is aligned with the laws of life. Life is expansive by nature, always seeking to express more. Fear resists expansion, it contracts. When you live in faith, you cooperate with life's upward movement. You expect increase, and increase becomes your experience. Opportunities come not through struggle, but through resonance. Faith magnetizes conditions of ease because it mirrors the generosity of the universe. Fear repels them because it vibrates with lack. The law is impartial. It simply returns to you what you project. The most powerful faith is calm, not forceful. It does not beg or demand, it assumes, it says, it is done. That calm assurance is the hallmark of mastery. Fear scrambles and worries. Faith waits in peace. The moment you rest in faith, you release the need to chase or prove. You become receptive, and receptivity is the open door to supply. The anxious mind tries to make things happen. The faithful mind allows things to unfold. The one who trusts does not strain, for he knows that divine timing is never late. Faith also heals the body and the mind. Fear tightens the heart and clouds the spirit. But faith relaxes, restores, and renews. A peaceful mind allows the energy of life to circulate freely, just as a clear channel allows water to flow. When the energy within you moves without obstruction, creativity awakens. You think of ideas, you notice synchronicities, you act in perfect rhythm with opportunity. This state of flow is the natural result of faith. It is the feeling of being carried rather than burdened. To cultivate unwavering faith, surround yourself with reminders of truth. Read words that uplift, spend time in silence, and observe the evidence of divine order in small things. The rhythm of nature, the constancy of breath, the generosity of life itself. Each observation strengthens your trust that the same power governs your affairs. The more you recognize divine intelligence in the world around you, the less power fear has over you. Fear thrives on forgetfulness. Faith thrives on remembrance. Remember always that you are connected to infinite supply, and that connection can never be broken. Faith, not fear, is the master key to abundance, because it aligns you with the creative principle of the universe. It is the vibration of I have rather than I lack. It opens every door that fear keeps shut. When you walk in faith, the universe walks with you. When you speak in faith, the universe echoes your words. When you act in faith, supply rushes to meet your action. Fear separates, but faith unites. Fear limits, but faith liberates. Fear doubts, but faith unites. Fear limits, but faith unites. Fear doubts, but faith liberates. 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 Fear fates, but faith liberates. Fear doubts, but faith liberates. Fear fates, 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 but faith liberates. And in that knowing lies the secret of divine supply.